Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first in a hopefully very long series of world building streams where we build an interesting world with some amazing TikTokers. I'm the Plot Doctor on TikTok, and you can find me roughly under that handle or the RPG Plot Doctor in other places, pretty much any of them. And tonight I have the amazing Alex Dante with me. So, Alex, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Alex. I'm a TikToker, I guess, and 26-year-old, live in Denmark, and I think I would describe myself as like a quasi-idiot, like pseudo-idiot. And I'm happy to be here. I think it's gonna be fun, and see how this little project goes. Even though you said that this will be a long series, but being the first one is fucking terrifying, to
Oh
be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. I've
But
had nerves about this stream all day. Like,
Uh, uh, well, worst comes to show, I set the standard low, so the next guest in 2 weeks is just gonna knock it out of the park. It's gonna be a home run record.
oh yeah, they're going to be like way better. Oh God, TikTok Live does automatic subtitles. That's great. Um,
Us?
that's that's nice.
I didn't
Um,
even get captions.
yeah, yeah.
Fucking hell.
Um, so we've created I created a world map on stream a little while ago. I'll just pull it up for people to see. No, I want to see it. Not there. There we go. Right, so this is the one map we're working with. We've got like 4 large continents. This is roughly the size of Earth. It's slightly smaller, but not by terribly much. It's sort of pretty much very Earth-like. There's 4 big continents, lots of island chains, because I like islands and I like sailing, and I really have to finish writing that freaking thing about
Oh yeah, that thing.
sailing. Yeah, I'm writing a supplement on how to design sailing rules for a game. Mostly because like sailing rules are complex. Sailing is complex and difficult, so it makes sense. And if I recall correctly, you wanted somewhere on the
Northwestern part.
northeastern continent, the western.
Yeah, the western corner of the northeastern continent.
Okay, cool.
There we
And
go.
I think it was somewhere around here. There was a big like horn you wanted because it was a sea
Yeah,
base thing.
the horn there. I want that to be like the capital because it just fits what I imagined
Okay.
in my head. Yeah.
Remind me again, Ceandra, right?
It's pronounced Ceandra, but it's
Ceandra.
spelled Ceandra.
Yeah.
I am certain that there is an in-universe explanation on why it's pronounced Ceandra and spelled like that, but I'm not going to go into it.
Cool.
It's up to the GMs themselves to figure out why.
Yep, no worries. I'm going to use a red city for this one. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Create a new article and link it. New article title is template type is we want organization. Nope, not profession. Organization. That's the cool thing about World Anvil. Like you can do all this, but it's there are options upon options upon options is the problem. So that should have automatically created a article. There we go. And if we go into that view article,
I feel like if worst case scenario, this will be a great world animal tutorial.
yeah, 100%.
Just take the wood and it's like, this is everything you need to know about the program.
Absolutely. What's it called again? Scrolling down, endless geopolitical country. Ceandra, pronounced Ceandra. Okay.
As you can see,
yeah.
As you can see, World Animal offers a lot of options when it comes to type of organization.
Yeah, it does. It's got 50 odd options minimum. It's loaded with options. Yeah, I hope it's going to be really exciting too, Nick. We'll find out. Could be terrible. Pokemon Ceandra. There's a Pokemon called Ceandra.
Yeah, it is the evolution of Horsey, and it did cross my mind, but I'm like, fuck it. I mean, look at Game of Thrones. I mean, we have Starks, and who cares if it's pronounced it's pronounced the same?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, but like, I also think this might be you revealing that you are, in fact, a closet huge Pokemon fan.
Oh no, like I totally Googled this before the stream. I did not know. Horse who?
Horse who, what? Yeah, okay, fair enough. That is actually a really good world building tip, folks. Whatever you're going to call something, Google it. 100% of the time. If you're coming up with a name or a word or something, just Google it and make sure that it's not like dick in someone else's language or whatever it happens to be. So does that mean you should name a seahorse?
Yes, let's do it. The sea to the west is now called Whore.
Thank you for the sub, Shara. Love you. Just add some spice. Yeah, exactly. What's a sea kingdom without sex workers? Right. So,
The
tell me
nation
about
of
it.
Ceandra was founded with the nomadic tribe Horsea and settled out.
Yeah.
That's always too good. I wish I used that.
Well, now we know. Now we know.
Yeah.
World Anvil has a load of like pre-generated prompts. I'll probably go through some of them. But do you want to just give me like a little bit of a rundown of what Ceandra is like?
Okay. God, as you know, there's a lot of fucking history here, but I'm not gonna go into all of it because that would take forever.
Yeah.
But in short, Ceandra is I usually do a lot of world building based on music.
Mm-hmm.
And there is one song by a Norwegian singer called Sivert Høyem called Black and Gold, which has the lyric, once you were all sea wolves and you sailed across the sea.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love that line, so I inspired the entire kingdom off that line. Like I want like some kind of like almost barbarian warrior-esque area where they're great seafarers, they really thrive on the ocean life, and yeah, you get the overall idea. So the entire thing about this is it's a monarchy at the end of the day. The king has absolute power. It's an absolute monarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And and how to describe it? They're famous for the kraken meat. Let's start there. They are the only nation on the continent that actively hunts krakens. And they use like massive catamarans to do this. Like they sail out at sea, they see like these massive tentacles come out of the ocean, and then they try to pull it between the catamarans, and that's where they just throw the spears in and just try to kill the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a well-paid job, but it's extremely fucking dangerous.
Yep. That does sound extremely fucking dangerous.
Well, and but what I chose to focus on a lot was like the current state of affairs, because around 200-ish years ago, there was a king named Victor VI that led the country through a period called the 40-Year Night, which it wasn't a pleasant time. There was a lot of horrendous stuff happening there. Like, he was not a good king at all. And in short, it ended up with his own Kingsguard, after him giving an order to essentially massacre an entire capital city in the neighboring kingdom, decided to betray him. They abandoned their post and they went up to the mountains, founding an organization called the Knights of Salt.
Mm-hmm.
The Knights of Salt started an active rebellion against Victor VI that ended with Victor VI dying.
Yep.
And of course, a new one getting the throne, called Leona. And Leona was quite chill. She earned the nickname Leona the Compassionate. And the current commander of the Knights of Salt then demanded from Leona that she swore that the Knights of Salt would still protect the king or queen, but they would not be oath-bound. Like, if the king or queen or monarch gave an order, they could leave anytime. They could say, "We're not going to do this. We're going to fuck off," without it being a crime. Because usually, if you are oath-bound to a king or queen and decide to leave your post, you will be killed. But but Marcus, which the commander's name was like, yeah, we're not going to do that. We need some kind of protection. So fast forward 200 years until we reach King Morgan II, which was a bit of a chill dude himself. He was quite loved and did a lot of the right things.
Yep.
Of course, like kings usually do, he died. And he left the throne to his 4 children, Vilja, Carmen, Cato, and Victor.
But that was Morgan II, sorry.
Yeah, Morgan II. All of them got a chance on the throne. Vilja died after a snake bite. Carmen just disappeared because they were very into like the church stuff, and they added like a church tax, which the Stormcaller, which is like the main priest in the land, were not a fan of. So he decided to kick Carmen out of the church permanently, and so they got very depressed and just disappeared off the face of the earth. After that, Cato got the throne, and he decided that at that point the kingdom was in like serious disarray. Like this is like 2-3 years ago from the present day, and the kingdom was in extreme disarray. And then some kind of circus magician came to Cato and like, hey, we can solve all of this if you decide to cut off a finger and give the throne to your brother, Victor. So currently the king is Victor VII, and he's not that popular. Reason being that he's 17 of age, and he since he got to power from a magical ritual, the Knights of Salt were not a big fan of that, because they suspected like there are some kind of like evil powers at play. And because he also shared names with Victor VI, which was a horrible tyrant, they decided to try to assassinate him. But the night when they tried to assassinate him, they snuck into his room. They had their knives ready, and they were like, "We're gonna stab this fucker." And they just suddenly, like a massive pain started like just shooting through their entire body. They were paralyzed, unable to move. And the current commander of the Knights of Salt, he tried his best to like push through it until he got to the bed of Victor and pull out the bed sheets, where he found him whispering something in the night in like some kind of ancient language he didn't understand, before he himself collapsed. And his brother Cato, that now serves as one of the advisors in the kingdom, burst in and like saw all this commotion. Cato, of course, advised him that hey, these guys tried to kill you. You should have them executed. And Victor did that. And then later that day, or like the next day, he had them all executed for treason. And as he did that, the commander of the Knights of Salt yelled out that the tyrant has returned, and I fear for this nation's future. And as his neck snapped, a part of the sacred mountain in the Knights of Salt, like the Mountain of Salt, started collapsing. And that's seen as a quite big deal, and that's currently where we're at. Victor VII is a super unpopular king. The Knights of Salt, after seeing their commander executed and the Sacred Mountain fall together, has like, fuck this, we're out. The Kraken fishermen, thanks to Cato trying to get the economy in order, he went like, you can fish as much as you want. The Kraken is almost extinct now, so they have no jobs, and everything is essentially chaos. That's the short explanation of everything. Like, there's a lot of things that happen in between that explains why the mountain is so sacred and all that shit as well. But I'm certain that will pop up in the document. Like I said, if I'm going to explain all of that, then we'll probably be here in
Fantastic.
3-4 hours.
Okay, let me just respond to someone on TikTok. So, Gengar, I'm doing a stream at the moment with another TikToker doing some world building over on Twitch at twitch.tv/the plot doctor, which is, if you want to come hang out there, you can hear both sides of this conversation. And I was just listening to a very long explanation, and like Alex said, that was the short version. I've seen the long version. It's like, it's a very long page in Discord. So I have some questions. So firstly, kraken meat, like, is that do they eat it? Presumably, is that for internal consumption? Do they sell it? Is it valuable?
It's really valuable. It's essentially this like when I wrote it, I essentially wanted it to be like the Ceandra version of oil.
Yeah.
Like this is the thing that most people are employed doing. Like even if you don't fish it actively, then you might work at the plants
Yeah.
preparing it. You might use the oil. Like there's
So it's their
an
main
entire
export.
yeah, it's an entire economy built around exact seconds, and of course it's a dangerous field, so a lot of people die doing it.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
now that it's dying out, like the economy of the country presumably is tanking to hell and back. Yeah.
yeah, that's a lot of the reason behind. Because originally Kato was the one that
Yeah.
I think that would be just to get things in order. That would be Kato the Fifth. He was like I said, he was a guy that opened up saying like, hey, you can fish as much as you want, because he tried to save the economy, because during his rule the country was undergoing a bit of a starvation period.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a massive storm that like tormented the land, so the crops were dying and they were really struggling with food. So in a desperate attempt to save his people, he allowed the massive overfishing of the krakens.
Okay. Great. The Knights of Salt. So they can leave service at any time.
Yeah.
And obviously they've at this point in history turned over and tried to assassinate the current king, which has failed. But how much of kingmakers were they beforehand throughout history in this last 200 years? Because it seems like it's followed the same family. Like how much of the Knights of Salt been involved in like actually running the country and choosing how things go?
Well, the Knights of Salt were. I just need to look up my notes just so
Yep.
I don't say anything wrong. And
I can always fix it later if you do say stuff wrong.
cool. Yeah, because the entire nation was founded by Arena the Noble. She
Yeah.
was essentially the first queen of Ceandra.
Yeah.
And the first member of the Kingsguard was her brother Morrison.
Yeah.
And he was he and he has essentially been was the one that built up the Queen's Guard that would eventually become like the royal protectors before they got turned to before they got turned into Knights of Salt.
Yeah.
And that's also the reason why Magnus during Victor VI was so adamant that the Knights of Salt should stay adamant that Knights of Salt should stay independent, because they've always been like the personal hit squad of the monarch.
Yeah.
Like if the queen saw this person as some kind of troublemaker and it would risk the national security, they would send the king's guard like, hey, we need this person taken out, make it look like an accident. It's very similar to the American CIA, I think, in many ways.
Yep, that makes sense. So we've got kraken meat is really important. The Knights of Salt are like a very dominant power in the kingdom. And you mentioned the kraken fishermen.
Yeah.
As another thingy, are they like a union or a guild, or like do they consider themselves an agglomerated entity, or?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. They are almost a big organization as like Knights of Salt, because like I said, to take down a kraken you need a massive crew.
Yeah.
It's Villa II, the oldest brother or like oldest son of Morgan II. He wanted to build like a massive fleet of Ceandra or for Ceandra, and a lot of reason why I believe that this fleet would be successful is because of all the kraken fishermen that lived in the land. So they are great sailors, and they're used to working on ships with crews of 200-300 people.
Yeah.
And
so
and
they.
if you and if your parent was, or like if your parent were a kraken fisherman, odds are that you're gonna be as well. Like you're gonna be on the ship from like age 7 and 8, just learning how they do this entire process.
Yeah. So do they sort of like double up as the naval forces of Ceandra? So
the naval forces, that would be something else. That would be
Okay.
it's called Villia's fleet because it was founded by Villias II.
Uh-huh.
And so the Kraken fleets are almost entirely unarmed, besides the tools needed to take down
Yeah.
the Krakens. But of course, being that they're so massive, they got so massive crews. Any hostile ships in the area knows not to fuck with the catamarans.
Okay. Fantastic. So, just going through some things. Do you have a name for the capital?
Mistholm.
Mistholm. Mistholme.
Mestome.
OME. Mistholm. Okay. Create a new article and link it. Create a link. And the head of state, we've already done. That's Victor VII.
Yeah, that's correct.
Create a new article and link it. I love this because it's just like building a wiki. Victor VII. Create a link. Government choice is a absolute monarchy.
Yeah, that's correct.
Monarchy absolute. Power structure.
I need to look through that list because of like a lot of like government systems I wasn't familiar with. So
yeah, and I'm guessing it's a feudal state. Feudalism.
oh
no?
yeah, yeah, totally.
Economic system is mixed palace economy or mixed economy. Like, does all money flow from the palace, or I'd say
No,
it's
mixed, definitely mixed.
mixed.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Stratomonarchy.
What the hell is stratomonarchy?
It's when you're ruled by a cloud. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
The ruler is the
highest ranking general.
That is spot on.
Yeah.
Know that.
Was that?
Thank you, Sap and Stairs, for expanding my knowledge.
Yep. What was it called? So it's an absolute stratomonarchy. Love that. Thank you. Good to learn. I like learning.
Absolute stratomonarchy.
Yeah, you did mention a kingdom that they'd had war with in the very long history you gave me. There was something about a neighboring kingdom they went to war with and they starved them out or something like that.
Yes, they did, and I'm looking up the name of that. Yeah, it's Lindras Vale.
Lindras Vale.
Yeah, so Lyndrasvale.
Lindras Vale. Create a new article and link it.
Yeah. And outside of that, it's like a couple of duchies and like small kingdoms that
yeah, and
allegedly exist.
Official language. Ceandra?
I don't know. Ceandra? Yeah, fuck it. Let's write Ceandra. It's always like one of those like weird categories because I imagine that I think it was like Tolkien that had like the original idea that the book Lord of the Rings is written in like the language that they speak in Middle Earth, but is translated in to English.
Yeah.
And I imagine like it's the same thing here. Like whatever language they speak doesn't really matter because most of the things that you read about is translated close enough to English.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or French or German or whatever language you run this game in.
Yeah, 100%. So in terms of like geographical locations that are important to them, we've got Mistholm, which is the capital.
They speak French, so there's no explanation how.
Yeah, in every world there needs to be one country of people that just speaks French. Nobody knows why. It's French. It's called French. It's called French. Their language is called French. The country is not called anything related to France. Like, there's no way you could derive the word French from anything related to it. It's just a weird artifact, and they're ruled over by a goose. Why not?
Okay. Matters ask what I missed. A
Uh,
very long history rant from me. That's essentially it.
a very long history run. Yeah, so we're building a nation that Alex has put together, and we're just sort of like going through fleshing it out and getting it down. It's basically a seafaring nation of kraken hunters with an absolute monarchy, a knightly organization that is meant to defend the monarchy, and currently a very unpopular king. The knightly organization has attempted to assassinate him, and the kraken hunters, which are the mainstay of the economy, are up in arms about the fact that the kraken are nearly extinct. So, yeah. That's short recap.
Yeah.
So we've got Misthome as the capital. Like, how many people live there? How big a city?
175,000. Shall we say that?
Okay.
I don't know. Oh, let's say 375.
375. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's fairly large city.
fairly large for a feudal era. And presumably the monarch's palace is in there.
Yeah.
Does it have a specific name or
Mist Throne?
Mist Throne?
Yeah. It's when it comes to my obsession with Mist, especially Mist Home, is that it got the name a lot because the entire area seems to be like covered with some kind of mist, almost like 24/7.
Yeah.
There are.
Carry on. Carry on. So we've got like mist coverage most of the time. Okay. In terms of other locations, you mentioned a sacred mountain.
Yeah, the Mount of Salt. And we're doing great. My name was taken. My first name was taken. Now I'm curious, what was your first name?
It was Harry. Hi, Harry. How's it going?
Hey, all right.
So we
Sacred
got
Mountain, the Salt Mountain.
the Salt Mountain. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Brendan Bonds. Okay, so what's sacred about this mountain? Why is it sacred?
Well, when Arena the Noble founded the country, it was during a massive storm. Like shit was going on all over the entire place. She had led her people out of a nearby nation that is unnamed actually, because I don't know. I haven't fleshed that out that much. But yeah, she led it into the area that would be Ceandra, and the storm was ravaging on. They tried to find caverns to protect themselves, but they couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
And eventually, Irina just fell to her knees and yelled out to the gods, like, "Hey, if you're going to make this a living hell for us, take me, but spare my people."
Yeah.
And as she did that, she could see this entire mountain in the horizon, and it almost like it split the storm in half, like keeping her safe. And I do realize in retrospect that this sounds a lot like Moses, but that's a coincidence. I did not think of that until now.
So the mountain through the storm.
Yeah.
Did they sail in, or did they come over land?
Yeah, they come over land. They cross the mountains in the north.
Through the storm and okay. So yeah, so the mountain is like incredibly important to the people. Are there like rituals or any kind of cultural traditions associated with the mountain?
Just Matters asks, so if it's covered in mist, does everyone have like a permanent moistness to them? And I haven't thought about that, but I assume yes.
It's a damp place.
Yes.
It is a damp place.
Yeah, they were listening to Dragon Force while traversing the storm.
Yeah.
They had like a group of bards following them that just like played 24/7.
Yeah, through the fire and the flames.
Exactly. That was the only song they knew was Through the Fire and Flames. And yeah, it's when it comes to traditions, they have the Salt Payday because, and now I get to add more history.
Okay.
The reasons why the Knights of Salt were so skeptical with Victor VII getting the throne based on a magical ritual was that Victor VI, remember the evil king?
Yeah.
He got visited by a warlock from far off that said that that his country would suffer and blah blah blah. And
Yeah.
oh, I just need to see. Yeah, black. He would face a storm, black and teal, was what the warlock told
Yeah.
him. That, according to history, was what Irina wore when she founded Ceandra. And because of that, Victor VI blamed the Church of Storms that has Irina almost like as a Jesus figure in many ways. So he said, "Bring me the head priests of the Church of Storms and make them swear allegiance to me."
Okay.
And the King's Guard went. They collected all the popular priests, all like the people of power in the area, and they brought them before the king. And of course, they said like, "Hey, we would never betray you. You are the king of the area," because they feared him. He was known as a tyrant. But Victor VI didn't believe them. He said that the warlock had seen that they would betray him, so he wants to put an example of them. So he ordered the King's Guard to take them out to the sea mountain, or like the salt mountain, and tie them to metal rods on top of them. And they would essentially get ripped to shreds when the storm hit.
Yep.
And it is, as the storm hit, Victor VI was standing at his kingship, just looking at them getting destroyed. And he just said that even their god could not protect them from the betrayal they planned. So he was convinced to the very end that this church was against him. But because of that, or after that, he ordered the King's Guard to take a bit of salt and go to the families of those that had died of what is now known as the Massacre of Salt Mountain.
Yeah.
And hand it to their families and like, hey, this is what's left of them. And because of that, the tradition Salt Pay Day has been created, which is essentially like a small holiday where the families gather early, they eat a pretty large feast, and then the children and teenagers start running around doing like small jobs and odd jobs for people in the community, and they all take their payment in salt. And it's a bit of competition going on, like seeing who can get the biggest jar of salt at the end of the day.
Okay. You need to get paid in salt. Okay. I actually really love that, because one of the things that I think is really important when you're creating traditions for worlds is to reflect and think on what the function of a tradition is. And 90% of traditions in the world are about helping a community to survive by like bonding them together and bringing them together, and also like remembering the past. So like that like combines those two things. So you've got like remembering the past in sort of remembering the Salt Mountain Massacre, but also you've got the community aspect of it, because all these kids run around doing like odd jobs around the place and like fixing things up and making things life slightly better for everyone, and then they get paid in salt. And it's interesting. It works on a lot of levels. I think that's great.
Stars ask if their currency is salt themed or salt based, and it's not. They just use silver, unfortunately.
Okay.
It's a great idea though, but yeah, it's just silver.
Silver. Is it tied to anything? Because you could have silver tied to like a salt standard, and like 1 silver buys you this much salt, and then when you've got runaway inflation, it buys you less and less and less salt.
You know what? I'm gonna use that. Like, let's go with that. That's actually a great idea.
There are actually historical societies in the world. I can't remember where, but they did apply their currency to a salt standard.
I think it was the Romans, because that's what it's called salary, right?
Yes, that's right. It was Romans.
Yeah.
Yep. Mali. Okay, cool. Mali, nice. So yeah, so we've got silver tied to a salt standard as a currency. So just because I think laws, territory, military, there is a official state religion. So the official state religion is the Church of Salt.
Church of Storms.
Church of Storms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I misspoke earlier, I apologize, because Church of Storms is the correct.
No, you did say Church of Storms. I've just
okay.
really gotten onto salt as we've been talking.
Yeah, it's that portion of the story is very salt based.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's fine. It's just my brain was really on salt. Let me just copy this down there because that's the better thing for it. Just one control V. In terms of territory as well, so we've got their capital city, we've got the Sacred Mountain. Weathering from storms lowers the economy by devaluing the currency. 1 silver piece equals 1 cubic foot. Could be. That seems like quite a lot, but better be on salt than on smoke. True. So we've got the Sacred Mountain, we've got Mist Home. Any other sort of notable geographic locations that are part of their territory?
It's a town, as I feel like it's worth mentioning. I just need to double check the name of it. Yeah, for Carmen the Third, the second oldest child of Morgan II.
Yeah.
They studied at Cotonia, which is up in the north, which is essentially like the center of knowledge in the country, where all the universities are placed and all the nerds hang out, if you like.
Okay, so we've got Cotonia.
Yeah.
Which is it's a city they own, City of Learning. And they've got
it's K.A. Cotonia. It's named after Cato the Third.
Cotonia. And it's a City of Learning with a university.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Fantabulous. And anything else? I think I recall you mentioned some kind of like underwater mountains that just peek up through the waves.
I can't remember that. So.
Nope. Okay. Maybe I misread that. It's
perhaps
possible.
I think you think about Kraken's Jaw, which it's like a mountain chain at sea that has like a lot of mountains. Yeah, I get peeking through the waves. You're right, but I thought you meant like underwater mountains. But
yeah,
Kraken's Jaw is a mountain. It's the mountain chain where the Salt Mountain actually is located.
Okay. Mountain chain where
how many days remains before the asteroid strikes the amount of salt? Let's say a lot.
Maybe, it depends. If this project goes badly, I'll just nuke the entire thing from orbit with an asteroid. So, you know. That's my prerogative as...
like 20, yeah, let's say 20. We're not going to elaborate. 20 what?
20.
20 wait.
20 days. 20 days. 20 days until the world ends. That's enough time to run an entire campaign, right? Am I from Brum? Yes, I am from Brum. Yes. Hi, Michael. Brum. Birmingham.
Oh.
I just got a question on TikTok saying, am I from Brum? So, but yeah.
You're British and your slang. Like, where I'm from, we say the full name of things.
Really? You don't shorten any... So you're not like, oh yeah, I'm just popping to Oz for the weekend.
Oh, if someone said that, I would punch them.
Fair enough.
And for those out of the loop, hi, I'm Norwegian.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I left the country for legal reasons.
I can only remember the names of 2 places in Norway, and I think the second one is in Norway. I'm not 100% sure. So you've got like Oslo and Tromsø.
Yeah, it's Tromsø is where I'm from. So
right. Okay, that might be why I remember it.
Probably.
You might have told me at some point.
It's it's the Paris of the North, which the fucking natives keep mentioning.
Paris of the North. How does that work?
Yeah. We do say that Paris is the Tromsø of the South, but...
Right, okay. Because it's a vast city of millions with a rich historic culture, a really big tower.
I think the explanation they say is because Tromsø is famous for the Northern Lights, so it becomes like a city of lights thing. But
I got it right. That actually makes sense. Like,
yeah.
Paris of the North, it's full of cigarette smoke. Yes, French people.
Yeah, a lot.
But yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'll check that out actually. I've always wanted to try Hema, so thank you very much, SHC and Mosley. So yeah, so in terms of like their legislation, it's an absolute monarchy. Do they have like nobles, like noble families?
Yeah, they do have the Council of Nobles,
Council of Nobles.
which consists of 7 nobles chosen by the king, queen, or monarch,
Yeah,
and they're usually families that are just loyal to the current ruler,
yeah.
which is a quite shitty system,
Hmm.
but it is what allegedly works that you surround yourself with yes men. But
Yeah.
of course, the senior advisor is always the head of the council, and currently the senior advisor of the council is Victor's brother, Kato, the previous king.
Kato, previous king. Right. Cool. And so it's you've got like the nobles, the noble council, and then you've got the king itself, the monarch themselves, and they're the ones that essentially run the entire shebang.
Yeah.
The noble council, is it divided? Do they divide based on alternatively Paris of the North just has clap and overhyped landmarks? I mean,
It's wrong, and that annoys me. That
it's not
like
wrong.
you're just offended by entire people, but you're completely right.
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's how it always goes. So,
And there you have the clip for the TikTok video.
yeah,
For
yeah,
the
you've just offended my
woodland.
entire people, but you're completely right. Yeah, that's all I need to advertise this stream in future.
Yeah.
So do they have like divided up roles and responsibilities, like, or
Not officially, it just happens.
yeah,
It always becomes like that someone is good at one thing, and they're like, if when it comes to like the treasury, that's on you. Like you're
yeah,
gonna deal with that. And when it comes to the fact of the navy, that's on you, and it just becomes a natural divide.
yeah, yeah? That's absolutely fine. It's giving me big Crusader Kings vibes, where like you have to put your powerful nobles on the council so they don't like turn against you, but then you want to pick the ones that already like you so they're loyal, and it becomes a whole thing, and then like you end up giving some shit heel who couldn't fight for save his life the job of marshal, and your armed forces are trash, but you don't have a choice. And yeah, I like
I
it.
mean, like, I guess that shows like some kind of realism, though, because I do think that's how it was in real life as well. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. People totally got jobs based on like not merit.
I mean, is that different how it is today? Because like, I've had jobs I'm severely underqualified for, but the people hiring just liked me.
Don't you literally have a colleague watching the stream right now?
Yes,
Was
I
that the
do.
smartest thing to say?
I don't care because it's true.
Nepotism gang.
And at this job, I did get on skill. I'll say that. But the
They
previous
say
job
now.
uh, I had a job running the social media for the entire country.
Yeah.
Not qualified, but I did it for 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just gonna try and keep your name like not too associated with this project, because like come January when you're looking for something, people might look for you on social media and then they'll see it and be like, huh.
And get to this point in the stream, they deserve to know. Like seriously,
Someone clip
that's
it.
the
Someone clip it.
ah.
Okay,
Okay,
so
sure.
judicial body. So who's responsible for carrying out the interpretation of the laws of your organization? So like, who acts as like obviously the highest judge in the land is probably the monarch.
Yeah, correct.
Uh, but do they have like smaller judges for lesser crimes?
Well, the senior of law is the second in command, and
Yep.
they're the ones that take most of the rules.
Yep.
It's essentially like the Supreme Court, I guess,
Yep.
of the nation. And if they can't solve it, then it comes to the monarch to
Yep.
like, hey, we can't figure this out, but usually it's fine. Besides that, it's a bunch of like minor judges here and there.
Yeah.
But of course, like every good feudal society, it's divided into like different areas. and it's the local lords' responsibility to solve this shit themselves.
Okay.
Like it's yeah, it becomes like if the town can't figure it out, it goes to the lord. If the lord can't figure it out, it goes to the senior of law. If the senior of law can't figure it out, it goes to the king.
Okay, so the sort of legal system is like intimately tied with the feudal system.
Yeah.
But local lords act as magistrates, let's call them. Okay, sweet. That makes sense. Anything else in terms of the legal system? So, like, do they have like a police force or a watch or any other kind of ACAB type organization?
ECAT type organization like that. Yeah, you have guards, of course, running around and
Yeah.
making sure that things are okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they're usually under the command of whomever the Lord thinks fit to lead them.
Yeah. So they've got guards under the command, local guards under the command of whoever the local lord picks. Okay, so yeah, crime and punishment is like entirely in the hands of the lord. In terms of like, sorry, Carol.
Just looking through the chat now. Do other countries people go over there and really upset that the rumors that the greatest were false? We do get a lot of tourists. If we still talk about Norway, we get plenty of tourists, and usually from like China, Japan, and that area. And I don't know. I think like if you grew up there, the Northern Lights are a bit overhyped. But if you see it from the first time, it's great. My first name was taken as, are you going to be defining these characters or making it up later? Yeah, probably making it up later. I do have some characters defined, but a lot of it is kind of wing it.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Like, there's only a limited amount of time that we have.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's like the thing. I do have like a lot of names that aren't mentioned, but it's I just don't want to fill up the time unnecessarily.
What I can do is give you editing privileges to this section of the thing, so you can just write stuff in as and when you fancy.
Yeah, don't make too many. There's an asteroid coming in 20 days. Yes, that's right. So it's not going to matter in 20 days anyway.
No, you've got to make more so that there's increased pathos when it strikes.
Oh, of course, of course.
Yeah, because like large numbers are just statistics, but right. So we've got local guards on the command of whoever local lords picks, and then other than that, it's just like sort out yourself kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. That's cut. That was actually the next step. So pissed.
Yeah.
Cool. And then, sorry, Karen.
Yeah. Can we just take like a quick break and?
Yeah, you need a bio break.
Yeah.
Cool.
I need a bathroom break essentially.
Okay, bathroom break, folks. We will be reconvening shortly. I have a be right back screen prepared because, like, I prepared and shit.
Hey, like a pro.
Like a pro. Okay, back in a minute, folks. Yo, we're back. Okay.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah.
I wasn't informed of this. I was just going on like a massive rant why I think that John Green is superior to Hank Green.
I mean, both the Green brothers are great, I think. Do I have a preference as to a Green?
Just because I'm like a more of history nerd, John Green appeals more to me because like I remember I got introduced to them watching Crash Course.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember John being the one that did the history part, and like I think I binged like every single episode. So Hank, I was introduced to probably like 2 years ago, 1 year ago. So he's fairly new in the system.
I literally only found out about them because of TikTok. I saw them on TikTok, and that was that. So, like I am a Green Law baby. Like I don't know the history. I know they've been about forever and done loads of stuff. But yeah.
They're great, honestly. It's a joy to this world.
I saw Hank Green first, and then the first time I ever saw John Green, I came yay close to commenting on one of his videos. Hey, do you know you look really like this guy, Hank Green? But fortunately I didn't, so that would have been embarrassing. So,
that's the second clip of
that's the second
video.
clip of the evening. I don't know who the Green brothers are. Um,
No.
John's such a lovely book nerd and ship poster. He has a parody account of himself on Twitter. Nice.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. It's great. It's honestly the probably the only good thing on Twitter these days.
That's not true. I'm on Twitter.
Yeah, okay. Second best thing on Twitter then.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was at the bar in like downtown Copenhagen last weekend, and I bumped into someone that worked for Twitter in
Mm-hmm.
Ireland,
Yeah.
and he just went into a massive rant about Elon. It was amazing. Like I got so much insider shit on that company that I can die happy now.
Awesome. Yeah. Just a fair warning, if you're going to follow me on Twitter, that's where I shit post. So yeah, that's the place I allow myself to be very, very unprofessional in a lot of different ways. So
And if you follow me on Twitter, you see my opinions about Norwegian drug policies, and that's it.
that's it. That's all I like
That's
to post
all it.
about.
Yeah, exactly. Like I argue with people there all the time about exactly that topic alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, Both Doctor on Twitter is awesome. But I like Water Lily Bambi. They seem like good vibes.
Water Lily is amazing. So yeah, I've had two popular tweets. Both of them were saying like very weird things, and both of them were as replies to other people's stuff. So yeah, it got weird. It got very weird very fast. So agriculture and industry. We've got the kraken oil industry.
Yeah.
Industry and kraken meat. We've already covered that a bit.
Water Lily once stabbed me outside a bar in West Seattle.
What? No, that's not true. It was just someone that looked a lot like her.
It's just my type of humor to a T, and I love that.
Yeah, so we've got the kraken oil industry and the kraken meat. What else do we have? Like, what do they eat? How do they grow crops?
Like I said, like it's a lot of the starvation that happened under Cato the Fifth happened because they could not grow any crops.
Yeah.
So there is like a lot of like wheat and that type of stuff growing, and they do have a surprisingly large like mushroom growing thing going on.
Yeah.
Because again, it's a lot of mist. The country's a bit darker than a lot of the other nations on the continent, so they go into caverns and then they grow the mushroom there because they don't need that light.
Cool. Okay. So they invented corn. Got it. You must have deserved it though. Fair. So yeah, any other like notable industries? So we've got like shipbuilding.
Yeah, it's of course like the Villiers fleet was the like large project that they ever took on, and it was 200 ships that was built. A lot of them manned crews of 200-300 people.
Yeah.
So a lot of lumber went to that entire project. But
do they do they sell ships abroad? Like, is it?
No. It's a part of the ambition of Bill II was to have the biggest navy in the world, like the best navy in the world. So of course, he and the shipbuilders discuss a lot of like tactics, like how do we get this as good as possible.
Yeah.
And they are essentially very well kept secrets.
Okay.
Like they are, as far as I know, the only nation on the continents that has like 4th-deck ships. They're absolutely massive. Silent Storm, of course, being the largest one of them, which has like a crew of 500 people.
Okay, fantastic. And Harry said hunters and fishers make sense, and I think that like very much tracks. So like keen hunters and
I do love that Sap and Stars and Water Lily is like sorting the differences about the stabbing incident down in the chat. Like,
yeah, it's fine. It's Twitch chat. That's what happens. Twitch chat is a special and magical place, and I love it. Genuinely so. I like it. Twitch chat is just one of the best vibes if you get a good chat. It's great.
Do they sell cells on shore?
Do they sell?
I'm not going to read that. I'm not a native English speaker. That's just mean.
I will give it a go in a second.
Okay, fuck it. I'm going to try. Do you sell seashells on seashore, or are they sure that the seashells process soar? When the seashores usually seem to swell, the price of seashells do as well. I'm never doing that again.
You're never doing that again. No, that's fair. I wouldn't do that again if I were you. Give me a sec, because I just realised that Nightbot hasn't been doing its thing. So let's...
Hold on, let me fix the spelling mistakes on my phone.
No, that didn't work. Okay. Right. Oh, there we go. It did do its thing. It did its thing seconds before I told it to do its thing. Do you sell seashells on the seashore, or are they sure that the seashells process... Okay, yeah, fix the spelling. Proceeds soar when the seashores surely seem to swell. The price of seashells do as well. Okay. I've never been...
Now say ripsens ipsbusker og andre buskevekster. I dare ya.
Okay, give it to me slowly.
Ibsens ripsbusker og andre buskevekster. I actually need to think for a second.
Ibsen
ripsbusker
ripsbusker
og andre buskevekster.
Andre buskevekster. Vexter. Okay.
You sound Icelandic. I love that.
Awesome. Iceland is cool. Okay, so trade to transport, we've got kraken oil is the main export. What do they import? Like, what do they... Oh, that's the next section. What's their...
Import,
yeah.
What
do they rely on others for?
Their main trade partner at the moment that Victor arranged for, I just need to look at the name of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Sun Islands.
Sun Islands.
Yeah, after the entire starvation period started and the Krakens were dying out, Victor VII arranged for a food deal with the Sun Islands.
Yeah.
Because a part of Vilja's fleet, they decided to say, fuck this, we're going to be pirates.
Yeah.
So they branched out and they started attacking nearby areas. And Victor VII was like, hey, we're going to protect you, but we need some food in exchange. So they are currently like their main trade export. Besides that, Cato, the senior advisor, is from Duchy of Helenswood to the east, and where they do also get a bunch of like necessarily minerals, mainly like steel and stuff like that. Iron.
So Duchy of Helenswood.
Helenswood, yeah.
Helens.
Is that what?
Spell it for me.
Helen as the name.
Yeah.
S Wood.
Okay, and is that a duchy that's part of the kingdom, or is it a separate?
No, completely independent.
Okay, cool.
They are essentially the Luxembourg of the world, if you like.
Luxembourg, love it. Okay, let me give this a go. So do they sell seashells on the seashore, or are they sure that the seashells' prices soar when the seashore surely seem to swell? The price of seashells do as well. Yeah, I can't do that quickly. Right, neighboring.
Neither can I.
Sun Islands, create a link, and Linda as well, create a link, and we can add, what was it, the Duchy of Helenswood.
Yeah, it's essentially where Cato's wife Susanna is from.
Okay, sweet. I'm just creating extra articles so that like they can be filled in as time goes on. Right. Demography. We skipped a few sections, I think. Yes, because we went to religion, but we'll carry on down. Exports we've done. Education level, like what's the average educational level of people in the place?
Like I mentioned earlier, like we do have some universities and like some higher education areas, but they are rare. It's usually very if your dad was a smith, then odds are that you're going to be a smith.
Yeah.
So it has like a very apprentice-like
yeah.
Society built up, and well, of course there are cases of people working as kraken fishermen or or smiths or cobblers or whatever, and they decided to go to universities. But a lot of times that's for like the sake of knowledge,
Right. Okay.
because the universities do offer the option that if you are proficient in a skill
Yeah.
like smithing or artificing or whatever, then
Yeah.
you can get like a scholarship there to study.
Okay. So they offer scholarships for people who are proficient in useful skills.
Assuming that they do spend their spare time working there.
Yeah. What would you say like is the average like literacy rate? So what's like the percentage literacy rate?
The Church of Storms are very adamant that you should be able to read, and
Yeah.
that's simply because Irina was very adamant that whatever I say shall not be interpreted as gospel.
Yeah.
That you should that you should. She was very humble as a person, and
Mm-hmm.
she was very also on that. Whatever I say, read it, make your own interpretation of it. If the voice of the soul, which she so nicely put it,
Yeah.
tells you to interpret it one way, then it can't possibly be wrong.
Yeah. Okay. So
Obviously, she might regret how saying that, but that's on her.
yeah. Due to teachings of Irina.
What's the cost of going to university without a
Yeah.
scholarship? It would probably be around a 3-year salary for like a normal smith. So, however that is, and it's a reason most people can't afford it.
Blacksmiths in feudal societies tend to be like the better off members of their villages, just because like it's such an in-demand skill. So like so that's like I would say like a middle class kind of level.
Yeah, it is it is it is a reason why most like the children of nobles goes to universities, and yeah, unless you're like a very avid saver, like there probably are some students at universities that are quite older, and because they spend their entire life
Mm-hmm.
saving up.
Cool. So most people can read to a certain extent, taught by the church, I assume,
Yeah.
and like passed on through families. But is there a formal education system for children, or is it just sort of like whatever they happen to pick up?
Whatever they happen to pick up. Like there, if you go to the church, and there probably are some of them that has like schools set, but there's like no
Mm-hmm.
official school that you go to.
Okay, cool.
It it's a reason why most people do the same profession as their parents.
Okay, sweet.
It's being an atheist is probably very difficult in this entire society. Come to think about it.
Okay. So like religion is deeply embedded in the population. Let me just add that into the thingy. Religion is deeply embedded. And just on religion, so we've got like the salt payday. Do they have any other like holidays or festivals like around the year, or when society at large is doing a specific thing, or
It's the only other holiday that I've fleshed out is
mm-hmm.
like Founding's Day, which I think this nation's version of Independence Day would probably be like the best comparison.
Yeah.
That it's essentially the day they celebrate that Arena was like, hey, this is gonna be our land.
Yeah.
And it's a day when a lot of people go to the northern mountains to the border, and they track all the way to Mistholm in like a honorary pilgrimage almost.
Pilgrimage from the northern, that's nice, mountains to Mustcom. Okay.
Which
I'm just thinking as well, like, would it be like, would it be possible that they'd have something around like the fishing season or kraken hunting season?
would make sense. Like most societies on the planet has like some kind of like celebration of the end of harvest, right?
Yeah. So they've got,
So if we assume that krakens for some reason are more active in a period of time, then we have
yeah.
like a celebration that, hey, we survived the fishing season. And especially considering it's such a dangerous profession as well. Like
Yeah,
they will probably want to spend that with their families. So
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, end of Kraken
oh,
season is like a mixed bag of uh, celebrating a good harvest and survival. So
uh,
the day your ex gets married to that guy she swore she wasn't into when you guys were dating, they celebrate by swearing to their friends that it doesn't even bother them. Yes.
uh,
The cope is real.
fill up the copium.
Yeah.
Uh, is atheism a claim that there are or no gods or no choice to follow any gods? If you uh, if you were to follow me on TikTok, this is a topic I've talked a lot about. Uh, to uh, to me, it comes down to how the world sees gods. Like, if gods are evidently real, you can prove that gods are real, then atheism for me would be like, yes, I recognize that these gods exist, but I refuse to worship them. That would be atheism. Uh, if you cannot prove that the gods are real, then it would be more atheism as we know it. And how the gods are seen in this world, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
It's one of those overarching world questions that we have discussed. So the overarching theme of the world, because it's way more of a headache for me to try and work with worlds in which gods are very active and involved
yeah,
on like a global basis. Um, and I've literally done like 2 videos in the past 2 days, like based on discussing that idea and why it causes world building headaches. Um, so I think overall, doubting the existence of the gods is possible within this world. Atheism, as we understand it in our society, is a position you can take. Obviously, how like well regarded it is varies from place to place, but we don't have like gods striding around the landscape and occasionally eating a mountain and making it impossible for anyone to just actively deny their existence. That's how I've taken it anyway. So yeah.
yeah,
Um,
it comes down, and it's actually what I was going to talk about anyway. Like what Saturn Stars is asking, if we want more of a headache, what defines a god?
yeah.
Couldn't they be just powerful or non-deitic or entities? And especially when I wrote this area, the Church of Storms, Irina is not a god. She is the
Mhm.
closest to they. A lot of people worship something called the gods of storms,
Mhm.
and what that is, it's completely up to interpretation. But Irina is like I mentioned earlier in the stream, is more like a Jesus figure, but that more people pray directly to, similar to how Catholics pray to
Yeah.
the Virgin Mary. And when I wrote The Church of Storms, a lot of inspiration came actually from how Americans look at the founding fathers, that they become like these pseudo godish characters in many ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Irina would essentially be like praying to George Washington, just people taken a bit more seriously.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, George Washington. That sentence hurt me, and I'm not even American. Like,
Well,
um,
people unfortunately close to do that, so
yeah.
yeah.
So, so you've got Irina, who's like a saintly figure, as like the founder of this thingy. Glory to the Church of George Washington Carver, yeah. And then you've got the gods of storms, which is very open to interpretation, but makes sense given that like they're sailors, so surviving storms seems pretty
Yeah,
important.
it's when I started like explaining the or like started writing down the God of
Yeah,
Storms, I always imagined them similar to like a because in H.P. Lovecraft stuff, you do have like a Cthulhu and like the old gods, and you do have like a level above that.
yeah,
And for as far as I know, I'm not a massive H.P. Lovecraft fan. The level above Cthulhu, they see Cthulhu like an ant, and Cthulhu see the humans as like ants.
yeah,
And the God of Storm would essentially be like the level above Cthulhu, like we are not worthy of praying directly to these people,
yeah.
so we go through Irina instead.
Okay, we just got raided by the Red Sage with a party of 11. Thank you very much for coming. Really
Hey,
appreciate it. And yeah, love those. Thank you. Hello, Comfy Radish. Hello, the Red Sage. How's it going? More like a George Washington of salt, am I right? Yeah. Fellow Sudic Nordic uneducated masses. Love it. Hello, Red and Blue Jay. Hey, Frostforge. Appreciate you coming. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We're doing a world building stream where me and Alex are fleshing out a kingdom that Alex is creating. So it's kind of fun. I like it anyway. We're asking the deep questions. Well, we haven't got there yet, but we will at some point. Hope everyone's doing okay. So yeah, we've got a lot of kraken related stuff. Could there be like cults that are like frowned on by the church, and maybe can we have kraken cults? I'm just asking the question.
It's one of the things I haven't thought that much about, to be honest, but
yeah,
I generally think that a lot of world building is like a collective effort.
Mm-hmm.
Because like a lot of times when you play like Dungeons and Dragons or Vampire the Masquerade or whatever the hell you're into, the players have good ideas.
Yeah.
I think it's dumb if you don't take those ideas into consideration. So I do generally think that in this case I'm the main author of the area, but if you you have a good idea, it's dumb not to take it into consideration. So yeah, kraken cults. Let's make it a thing.
Coral superstructure cult. Yes, that is like a very cool thing that Harry's got in his channel. So I'm thinking with kraken cults, what we could do is like have them like make a point, because obviously there's been like the overfishing to the point where the krakens are nearly extinct. So like originally they started out as just being like generally anti like the kraken harvest anyway, and have them be more like combination religious order / eco terrorists.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, so they're anti the Court of Storm, the Church of Storms, because the church supports the kraken harvest. They're against the kraken fishing entirely. So combination religion and the eco terrorists. I like that. It'd be fun.
Yeah, like that's something that that's actually a really cool idea. And I mean, like, even when I wrote this world, I did stop intentionally on one point, just because I didn't like want to. Yeah, because like Victor VII has now killed the Knights of Salt. They're dead. They're pissed. They want him dead. But I kind of want to leave like what happened next up to the different GMs or whomever is running the games to like figured where's natural. I did not want to give everyone all the answers.
Yeah.
So I do like the idea of like the kraken cult being like, hey, we have been opposed to this all along. We're happy that it all goes to shit, but whatever they do is up to whoever running the games.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Let me just religious. Deities, mythology. Oh, it's got an entire fucking thing on religion. We'll get maybe to that today. Yeah, no, I think that's cool, because like we want it to go up to a certain period and then have people just take it from there, but we want that period generally to be a sort of like turmoil period, or where a lot of stuff's going on, so there's plenty of plot hooks that people can draw on. Hey Wayne King, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Carry on.
It's yeah, exactly, like, because again, the Knights of Salt has abandoned the king. Like, if the players want to explore that, that's an option. The previous king, Kato, the fifth, had a wife, Susanna. That was not because Kato did not want to be king. He just took the title of regent because he was sure that the predecessor Carmen would come back. And because of that, he essentially disinherited the children that they had. Morgan and Wade, and she's not happy about that. That's something to explore. Like, just have a lot of shit going on and like a lot of options to go into. And depending on what type of story you want, like, hell, if you want to have like a full pro-union story, you can go look at the kraken fishermen.
Yeah, and they can be like the union, which would be great. Love it. Why bad people go to hell in D&D 5e? Yes, that was a question I posed. It's an interesting one. So somebody did answer on the video that it's in the DMG apparently, but yeah, it didn't have that before, so That's new, and I'm not sure I like it. Like,
I think
sorry,
I read most of DMG, and I can't remember that, but no.
it's like chapter 2, page 125 or something. I don't remember.
I usually fish that book for content, so
Yeah,
it's DMG details that no one really knows about tends to do well.
yeah, 100%. So in terms of like demography and population, we've got like 375,000 people in the capital itself. How about the rest of the lands? What's the sort of population distribution?
It's yeah, around like 2.7 million. I think it would be like total population. Most of them live in smaller communities, and yeah, because the thing with the capital, once you get that crowded, it's difficult to like create land, get land to
Yeah,
harvest crops, and so people try to stay out of the very big cities.
yeah.
Unless
So towns are overcrowded and
yeah,
not that nice.
yeah, it's the people that live in the towns are usually the ones that are really good at their skill, like the tailors or whatnot,
Yeah.
that knows that that's where they will get most of the work.
Hey, Aramis, thank you very much for coming along. I'm doing good, thank you. We're doing world building, which is fun. So in terms of
Aramis is from my side of the world, so hey, how are you doing, man?
Hey, Aramis. What does it say about my style of writing that I immediately want to write a burgeoning antagonistic force for this religious empire? Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
Yeah,
do
like,
it.
Go hell.
That's the point. That's the point of this project. Like, we all build on each other, and like the first person has like a lot of scope, but then other people can write shit that's like, well, these guys, like, I've got these people here that like fuck those guys. It's hey, Gift to Gabby,
Yeah,
I'm doing really well, thank you.
it's so fascinating when he says that, because like in my mind, as like the creator of this nation and Victor Seven, I don't see Victor as like that of a bad guy. I think he like just inherited a shit situation, but I do love that he interprets it differently.
Yep. Well, I mean, he inherited a bad situation, but he hasn't made it particularly good. And I do want to ask some questions about the warlocks, and we'll get to that in a bit. So in terms of foreign relations, we've got the Sun Isles. They've got a trade deal.
Yeah.
We've got the Helenswood. Another trade deal there.
Yeah. Bound to the kingdom through marriage.
Yeah. Bound to kingdom through marriage. And
no, the mountain doesn't melt when it rains. It's an actual mountain. It's not made out of salt. You just call that, okay?
Right. And what was the other group we had? The antagonistic one that they previously went to war with. Did we name those? Lindros Vale.
Yeah, Lindros Vale.
Yeah.
They,
so.
Warlocks cult inbound.
Warlocks cult.
Kinda. I left it vague intentionally, but yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah. So Lindros Vale, they had a war with. Strained relations.
Yeah. Pretty chill now. Ish. You're suing Ceandra. Why, Sap? Why are you suing them?
Because they're terrible, terrible people. So in terms of any like specific, because this section is for laws, but like I'm not going to write out a legal system for a fantasy society. But like, what weird laws do they have? Like, what's on the books that probably shouldn't be, should have been taken away, should have been cleared out? What random oddity do they have in their legal system?
There's a apple tree in the center of town, and you're not allowed to touch the apples, even when they hit the ground. You're not allowed to remove them. They are to rot, and again, it's just because that's a sacred spot for it was allegedly Irina's favorite place to like sit under sun and like read
Yeah.
books. So
Shall we make it like an apple tree in the center of all the towns? Like every town has this one apple tree in the center that's there, and even if you're starving, even if there's a like absolute like if there's an absolute scarcity of food, you're still not allowed to go touch the apples from this tree.
I like that. Let's do that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And no one knows why this is. It's just like one of those weird laws that's enforced. Cannot kill a swan after the setting of the sun. The swans have adapted and only steal pants at night now.
They devalued my salt business by claiming to have an entire mountain of it. Well, they never claimed it. You just made the connection. Apple of Eden 2.0. That's completely correct.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, Apple of Eden 2.0. So in terms of military, they've got a navy, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Best in their corner of the world.
Villiers fleet, yeah. 200 ships strong.
200 ships up to 4 decks.
Yeah, the vary in size, of course, but like the biggest one are 4 or 5 decks long. So
cool. And here's the thing: it's a question we didn't settle in or ask in the Discord. Gunpowder, do they have it?
Yes, because like I established that one of the admirals in Villiers fleet,
yeah,
like one of the ship captains.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see if I can find the exact. Yeah. She. Yeah, Ceandra. That was the captain of Black Dawn, one of the large ships. She said that she stopped when she was asked how many cannons there are on her ship Black Dawn. She just said she stopped counting at 50.
Okay, cool. Okay, so at least 50 cannons.
Well, 50 is the high end.
On the big ships, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Let's see. Infrastructure, technology and scientific level is kind of Age of Sail then.
Yeah.
So we're talking probably like 1600s.
Yeah, give or take.
Give or take.
I was playing a lot of Assassin's Creed. I was playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Black Flag when I wrote this, so that was probably like
a major inspiration.
Total inspiration, yeah.
Yeah. So can confirm my asshole cat betrays me all the time. Yeah. Can't trust cats. Never trust a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just save those changes. So we've got like more stuff about the military, but we don't need to fill that in. We've already put stuff about the thing. So let's talk about that's all official religion. Do they have something generic?
2 dogs must join every hunting party, but if a hunting party has 4 or more dogs, the king has a right to claim the whole quarry. Interesting.
Actually. That's actually kind of an interesting law. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. What are the contexts?
And right, let's talk about warlocks.
Yay!
I don't have a specific area for it, so I'm just going to throw it up here. So, warlocks. So, obviously, magic has played a bit of a part in this place recently. So we had the assassination attempt on King Victor, got disrupted by magic. And there was another thing.
Yeah, Victor VI was visited by a warlock originally and warned him
Yeah.
about, or like he thought he was warned about the Church of Storms, but in reality he was warned about Marcus and the Knight of Swords betrayal.
Yeah. So, who are the warlocks? What are they doing and why?
It's something that I've intentionally kept vague.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think I described the first warlock that met Victor VI. Mm-hmm. I said he was just like some kind of traveling mage that was traveling around the world and like suddenly got a vision that he's gonna face this storm of black and teal.
Yeah.
So he went to the king. And then later on, Cato V was visited by a circus.
Mm-hmm.
Because, of course, like I've mentioned a lot of times before, Kato had like a shit kingdom trying to like get shit back in order,
Yeah.
and the circus was in town, and his wife Susanna invited everyone to, like the entire circus, to come and entertain him at the castle.
Yeah.
And that's when the warlock Wraith, which his name is,
Yeah.
because he looked like he should have been executed a bunch of times. Like he has scars over his neck, he has like massive burns, and it looks like he looks like a walking corpse essentially.
Yeah.
And he was the one that said that, hey, if we want the kingdom back on track, we need one of your fingers, and we need you to give up the throne to your brother. And of course, originally Kato was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. That sounds insane. But Wraith was like, I'll come back in 5 days, and by then you'll change your mind. And just as promised, when he returned 5 days later, Kato changed his mind. And he gave his right ring finger, and he gave the crown over to Victor. And,
So,
of course, why he did that, or why the warlock wanted him to do that, that's
yeah.
something I left up to interpretation.
Yeah. So, I'm just thinking, like, Wandering Mages and Warlocks is cool, but if they're getting to the point where they're, like, really shifting the balance of power in a kingdom, like, why, like, flesh out an agenda? Like, I think, like, an agenda is probably, like, more of a interesting way to take it than just, like there's these guys. Like, everything should have, like, a story behind it. The way I do world building, I very pretentiously call it story first world building. So, like, everything in the worlds I build has, like, a story behind it. So that hill, that tree, that bush, that organization, that whatever, there's, like, a story stretching back, because that's how you generate hooks for players. So, like, what do you think, like, could be a good agenda for these warlocks? Like, is there a sort of loose grouping of them? Are they?
It's one of those things. Like I think if you want to flesh it out, sure, we can talk about it. But I left them vague because like it was just one of the plot hooks that I wanted to leave to whomever
Okay.
wants to run the game. Like, hey, this warlock came and he forced the king to abdicate and give the throne to his brother, and why he did that, that's up to you.
Yeah.
Like,
so what happened to the warlock and why are left to DM interpretation?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's it's like I mentioned earlier. It's just one of the. I just wanted to leave like some kind of storylines to pursue, and I wanted this to be like one of them. Like
yeah.
I just create the setting, and remember the story is it's up to them.
Cool. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't really know what that page is for. Diplomatic relationships. I can make histograms on this thing. Wow. Okay. Cool. Design. Parent category. So parent category, we are talking about the World Atlas because it's place. And I'm gonna need to name. Do you want to take the honor of naming the continent? The continent that they're on. Yeah.
That's a big ask.
Continents generally are quite big, yeah.
I think I have a good one.
Okay, go on.
I don't. That's the problem. It's one of those things that is so.
Arthur.
I know it's gonna affect people. That's like why it's so difficult, because like if I name like Helen's Wood, like who's gonna care? It's just gonna affect my world building. But when you talk about something that affects others, then
yeah, but it's fine. Like, I think I'm gonna give the first person to create something on each continent the honor of naming the continent. So.
Okay.
Cool.
Eden is actually a good name.
Yeah. There doesn't actually have to be one unified name for the continent, so people can call it different things. I just need something to give it a parent article, so it's like, this is the world, this is the continent, this is this part of that continent kind of thing. It's more of a logistic, administrative issue.
Honestly, with the Vink Kink,
Vink kink.
Alex need to provide at least 15 different names for it. I will, just not now.
Mm-hmm.
I like Eden, but I'm just gonna change that bit. That is Aiden. So basically Eden with an A. Just
ADM.
make it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's fine. And we need geographic. Geographic location. Cool. Great link. You have a category and a parent articles. Okay, cool. That's fine. Preferences, secrets. Do you want to add any secrets about like hidden stuff?
There is one priest in Mistholm, or a former priest. He was kind of kicked out, but he's called Look of the Long March. And he's called that because he claims that somewhere on the continent there is there's a throne called the Throne of Eternal Rule, and whomever sits on that throne will have the power to decide the entire continent's future. But of course, for most people, it just became senseless ramblings. But it might be true.
Okay. Future. Okay. Sweet. Yeah, because you can add like secrets to things and then they don't show up. Like you can have different views of this, so you can have like players or DMs or whatever, so things won't show up. I did have another question. Right, so the Knights of Salt got executed for treason. Did they get
It's worth mentioning 5 members of the Knights of Salt, including Commander, was executed for treason.
Yeah.
Because Commander Ian, he chose his 4 most loyal officers.
Okay, so it was 5 members of the Knights of Salt. What happened to the rest of them?
They abandoned their duties as protector of the throne. So where they currently are, that's, well, up to interpretation. Mercenaries, probably.
Yeah.
If the king gets up and someone else sits on the throne while they're gone, is the new person? I don't know. It's a myth. Leave it up to your interpretation.
Okay, so
it's like asking if the Fenris wolf were to bite off the hand of some other god and Tyr, would Ragnarok still happen?
what if 2 people sit side by side on it? Well, you know what, Sap? Run a game in this world, or persuade someone to run a game in this world, and find out. We're world builders, not like the DM police. So
exactly, like we're not lawyers of the Throne of Eternity.
It's like Excalibur, yeah. Strange women lying around in lakes and distributing thrones of eternity is not the basis for a sound system of government.
I love that movie so much.
Yeah. So in terms of story salad seeds, what we've got at the moment, because we've got quite a lot of potential things that people could run. So we could run something with the working with the scattered Knights of Salt to bring down Victor 7th. We could have the opposite, so working with Victor 7th to bring down any of the myriad problems he's facing at the moment. What else could we do? We could do something with the Cult of Storms. Sorry.
Yeah, the Church of Storms is the thing. The Kraken fishermen.
Yeah.
Unit guild. That's a guild.
Yeah.
It's also an option.
Yep. Fisherman Guild. And what would the Kraken Fisherman Guild be after? They would want...
Their livelihood is close to destroyed, so...
Yeah. Want the party to find a new fishing ground.
Yeah, or just...
Or find new Krakens, basically.
Yeah.
Because I imagine, like, Kraken season, like, for an entire nation, Krakens are so big, you only have to really bring down, like, 1 or 2, and that nation is set for the next year. So, like, they've just got to find out where they breed.
The sap is killing me. You get to give me the king if you put a cushion on the throne.
No, you have to...
It's a fucking myth!
You have to be uncomfortable, Sap. That's heavy is the head that wears the crown, and
Exactly.
heavy is the and uncomfortable is the ass that sits on the throne. That's
back in like 2000, must have been 15, 16, and there was like a Game of Thrones expo that traveled around the world. When I went to Oslo, I went to it and I got to sit on the Iron Throne. It's not a comfortable chair, but you do feel powerful sitting there.
Like it, love it. Just don't get a horrible disease from nicking yourself on it. What if it's actually a stool and the king just has no back support for the rest of their life? I would not want to be king under those circumstances.
You're overthinking this thing, Zap. Like, seriously. Jesus.
Sap's trolling you.
Yeah,
and it's hilarious. Love you, Sap.
But yeah, I also do want to point out, like, the things that we covered so far is just like my notes document is 4,700 words.
Yeah, and not enough of them apparently cover the throne that we just made up 20 seconds ago. So yeah, we've got the Kraken Fisherman Guild, you've got the Church of Storms. Storms wants you to hunt down Kraken cultists. Anything else we can pick out? I mean, there's loads of stuff there. You can just...
It's also like, what's up with the warlocks? That's a pretty big thing.
What's up with the warlocks? I'm just putting that in. Just straight up.
Start of like a full joke. I mean, like, they're like mages that makes a deal with the devil, like.
Yeah. Those who take the throne without the royal brace are doomed to a life of misery. Yeah. Well, do they even die when they're sitting on the throne? That's the question.
Okay. Also, it's the magic of Victor, but I guess like that goes on like helping him.
Yeah.
What else
is
do we have?
Victor aware of his magic?
Oh yeah, totally.
So
it's he doesn't know how to control it because at the moment it usually just works in his sleep.
Yeah.
But Kato made him painfully aware of this.
Yeah.
And also work with Kato's wife Susanna because she's not happy with him giving the throne to Victor instead of his children or their children.
Susanna.
S-U-Z.
Pardon?
S-U-Z. But...
Oh, Susanna. Yeah, I had to remember that people in different places in the world do the alphabet differently. Work with Kato's wife Susanna to put her children on the throne. Okay, cool. That's cool. That's some good storytelling. Can only people named Victor be in the line of succession? No.
Okay, we have Kato the fifth. That means there's been 5 other Katos. Yes, Victor is the most common name, but it's not the only one.
Ooh, actually,
it's like Ludwig on the French throne. It's like we got like Ludwig 14, 16.
I don't know. There was Louis Louis went up to 15, I think, didn't they?
Because Louis 16. The 14th was like the Sun King that was executed, and then the monarchy was reinstated.
No, it was the 15th. It was Louis the 15th that got executed after, because the Sun King was not on the throne during the revolution.
It wasn't?
I don't think so.
God, I just played Assassin's Creed Unity. I should know this.
Someone Google that for me, because I'm fairly certain it wasn't Louis the 14th, but
I think it was Louis XIV, and then Napoleon got the throne, and he
No, because
reinstated the monarchy.
Louis the XIV was like the world's longest serving monarch that we have a confirmed birth date
Okay.
for.
Okay, so then
Um,
like Louis XVI that got executed because I think it was. I remember it being like a one somewhere in his name, but
yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I
Louis
do have a Discord link to in
14.
bio.
Louis XIV stabbed me while outside a bar in West Seattle.
Yeah, yeah. And Shira is working with him. That's how it worked. Okay, Carmen, like, because Carmen just like flat out vanished.
Yeah,
So
it's Carmen with a K. Sorry that
Carmen.
you fucked up spellings.
Yeah.
But yeah, Carmen. After they initiated the church tax, it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
very popular, and they got kicked out with the one thing that they cared about.
Yeah.
So when Kato came back home after years of traveling,
Yeah.
or after Carmen was kicked out, all they did was spend time in like the castle, and they switched their crown out with a crown of ash.
Yeah.
So when Kato returned back to the Mist Throne, which is
Yeah.
like the royal castle,
Mm-hmm.
all they did, all that he found was Carmen's crown burning on the throne,
Okay.
and since then no one has seen them.
Okay, cool. So like you could be tasked with like hunting them down
Yeah, why not that?
or finding out.
How do you wear a crown of ash? I don't know. It's fantasy. Figure a way out. Like
Magic.
silver rings, maybe. Yeah.
Magic.
Sometimes you just have to go with what sounds cool.
Cool.
You don't need to like go into detail.
Yeah. Okay. I think because we've got like quite a complicated history there, it's worth playing around with the timeline feature. First time I've done this, so let's.
Well, when you say it, yeah, it actually Sap is actually right. It was a crown of coal. I misspoke.
Crown
So
coal.
Sap, I owe you an apology. You're completely right.
Okay.
I had to double check my notes.
Cool. So let's create a new timeline. So we're talking history.
Over your life.
I mean, your life. Yeah, you owe Sap not stabbing him outside of a bar, stabbing them. Sorry, outside of a bar in West Seattle. Like that's what you owe.
I love Seattle as well. Like it's a great city, but if I ever go there again, I'm not telling you.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Unless you buy me a beer, then we'll talk.
Yeah. Type normal parallel related calendar, access public, subscriber groups, blah, blah, blah. Create new timeline. All right. So we need
happy hour steak. What the hell is a happy hour steak? It sounds vaguely sexual or terrible.
Yeah, what is a happy hour steak? Can you get like happy hour steaks? I presume it's like steak but cheap.
It sounds
$9 steak of fries. What's that in like pounds?
$9 is like £7, £6, £6.50.
That is cheap. I would buy a steak for that.
At the bar Shadowland in Seattle. Okay, Shadowland in Seattle. Okay, sure.
Transmutation magic, absolutely.
I'm working on getting my motorcycle license currently, and once I get it, I'm going to Pacific Northwest, and I'll swing by the Shadowland in Seattle, and we'll hang out. So
you keep getting stabbed outside of it. Is that like one of those it happened twice, but it's weird that it happened twice, and I have two nickels kind of thing?
Yeah, it's considering that one of them has been a king that's been dead for 300 years. Then
yeah. So the founding of Ceandra. So we can put that at like year 0, I think.
yeah.
Also year 0, but let's put year 1. Significance important national type. Cultural event. Founding. Cool. So what was it? Leanne. What was her name? Leanne. The founder. Irina.
Named after the woman in Curse of Strahd.
Okay. Irina founds the nation of Ceandra.
Irina the Noble, to be more specific,
Yeah.
really.
Irina the Noble. Right. create historical entry. Historical entry has been created. So if we go to view event, we should have founding of Ceandra. Okay, Ceandra. And if we go back, we should be able to save changes. And where is just create a new one? Timelines. So, and then 200 years ago. So how long was Ceandra founded before the history picks up again?
Okay, so we had 6 kings named Victor.
Yeah.
That just adds like 150-ish years only there. So let's say 500 years.
Okay, so 500 years, and then and that was when Victor the sixth ascended to the throne.
Yeah.
Timeline.
Ceandra currently in the Victorian era, ish, like Age of Sails. That's like what we established.
Yeah, so about the 1600s, so more Tudor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah. So, sorry, did you say 600 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Significance, importance, national type, and life achievement, I guess. Political event. Create historical entry. And then history of Ceandra timeline. Okay.
Just taking an Instagram picture while you work on this.
So create a new historical entry. So we've got the death. Well, we don't need to do death because death and ascension is the same thing, isn't it? Mention of who came after Victor the Sixth.
That was I actually just had to find my notes again.
No, I got it. Sap, I got your pun. Is Ceandra in the Victorian era?
Why are you making my life so painful? Victor's daughter Leona the Second took over after Victor, aka Leona the Compassionate.
Second ascended to the throne.
It's my raison d'être. You that speaks better French than I. What the hell does that mean?
Reason to be, raison d'être.
Okay, cool.
And just saying that Alex is in my Discord, so if ever you want to ping them and just like make terrible puns at them or ask them more questions about the throne, I would like encourage you to do so. I might make a specific channel for it. So how long was Victor the Sixth on the throne?
40 years.
40 years, so 640? 640.
Yeah. Throne talk. Nice.
Throne talk, hashtag throne talk. Yeah, create historical end. So if I go to the timeline, yes, it's working.
Yeah, if you look at my TikTok name there-ish, the Alex Dante, that's my name in... Oh, sorry, all the way. That's my name on the Discord, so...
Yes, it is. Because, and also you can find them if you just type plot troll into the search bar. And
I actually tagged as that?
Yeah, you tagged yourself. That's your nickname in my server is Alex Dante. Open brackets, the plot troll. Yeah, I hadn't.
Because so many, because I made like a fake feud with you over at my channel, and people took it seriously.
Yeah.
And and then started commenting on your stuff, and like people started like attacking me for attacking you as a joke. I just...
It all got weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it got really fucking weird, but oh well.
But
we are.
No, I hadn't forgotten that you'd done that, which is kind of why I'm suggesting that Sap annoy you now. Okay, so after Leona came. after Leona was?
We're going after Leona was.
Who came after Leona?
Are we going to go through the entire like royal line?
Well, can do. It's only like 200 years. There's only like top
Okay.
5 people on it.
Cato the Third
Cato the Third.
was after Leona, aka Cato the Knowledgeable, because he was a total fucking nerd.
Nice, I like him.
He was very into philosophy, and he founded the university city.
Okay.
I actually forgot the name of.
Cool. How long was Leona the second on the throne for?
She was on the throne for 28 years.
So 668.
How dare you attack the plot doctor without me? What is Ceandra's monarch / year rate? Around 30 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, give or take.
Yeah. Important national type. That's what I'm after. Political event. There we go. Create historical entry.
Otto the Nerd.
Oh shit! I wrote Otto the Nerd.
Otto the Knowledgeable. Damn it. They have a least trust figure. We're actually getting to Carl the Fool at one point.
Carl the Fool. Lasted 44 days. Yeah. Okay.
I'm going longer than 4 days, I think, for majority of the nation.
Yeah. I just love that, like, Liz Truss, like, lasted 44 days, and our next longest serving Prime Minister lasted, like, 118, but it was only because he died in office. He caught tuberculosis and died. Like...
What does American president that happened to as well? Like, yeah, I got, like, the presidency, and then he, like, died 40 days later.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. Unfortunate for everyone involved. Right, so, who came after Cato the Third?
That was... Who the fuck was that again? That was Morgan the First. Morgan the Blessed. He was very religious, and he refused any type of, like, extravagant stuff. He refused to wear gold, he refused to wear silver.
Mm-hmm.
All he cared about was being as humble as possible, and he spent a lot of time in, like, the poor districts of Mistone, and he tried to live up to the name of his grandmother, Leona the Compassionate, as best as he could.
Okay. Interesting point about former Prime Ministers of the UK. There was this guy called William Gladstone, who was one of our major Prime Ministers. And he he was very, very religious, apparently. And he used to go around the red light districts of London back in the day. This was like the 1700s, something like that. And he would pay for time with sex workers and basically read to them from the Bible, in the idea that he could get them to give up their job. Which sucked on many, many levels. But the thing is, like, he kept this quite quiet, that he was doing this, and then when it got found out, people were like, why the hell are you going around all the red light districts in London? And that was his answer. That was his response was, oh, I'm reading from the Bible to prostitutes, right? And everyone accepted it because he was a big, powerful political figure and whatever. But, like, I've always found that story somewhat suspect. And is it possible that we could have something like that with Morgan the First? So, like, he seems really humble. He's going around all these poor districts, and he's been really charitable. But he's actually, like, hiding some deep, dark secret.
Yeah, sure. Let's... I'm sure someone was paying me to read the Bible to me. Yeah, same.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier than the other stuff, so...
Yeah. It just sounds so awkward. Like, I have friends that are sex workers, great fucking people. I love them to death, and I cannot really imagine anything productive coming out from that session. It's just like.
I will not say the words I thought of saying. I will not say. Never mind. Yeah. So yeah, hides a deep dark secret, but we'll just leave it at that, and GMs can interpret their own.
yeah, if Morgan the First happened to come up, then
Yeah. How long was Cato the Nerd on the throne?
that was the previous king. But yeah, he ruled for, let's say, 19 years.
19 years. So I'm having to do maths now. 6, 7, 8, 7, 687.
I do have like a list of kings and queens.
Yeah. I'm sure I saw one somewhere, which is why I'm asking you these questions. Like,
yeah. Like it's one of those things. Like I go into excruciating detail in my world building, and I never bring it up to all players. Like I know who Morgan the First was, but why the fuck do you need to know?
yeah.
And
I'm just saying, if we could have some kings with longer reigns, that might, like, we'd have to create fewer of these.
I mean, like a lot of them they got the throne when they were like 50. Especially like Morgan the First, and it's what happened with Morgan the Second and all his children were like they had 4 kings like 7 years. That's like one off in the history of the land. That has never happened before.
Okay, I'm just going to create a historical entry of that called the time of 4 kings.
That's a good time.
And then
what is your favorite law in Ceandra? What's my favorite law? That's actually a really fucking good question.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when you're not trolling me, Sap, you end up making me think.
Sap asks the best questions.
Yeah. Can we take a break here, and when we get back, I'll have an answer.
Yeah, I could do with a coffee as well, so I'm going to pop off and make a coffee. So to everyone watching, we're going to take a quick 10-minute break, and I am going to go hydrate, because that's important, I'm told. And Alex is going to think desperately about legal systems. And we will be back in 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm loving the stream. Hey.
Yeah, it's amazing. This is really good fun. This is the best. Like world building on my own is fun and all, but like world building with other people is just the best. All right, catch you in 10 minutes, folks. Bye bye. So anyway, yeah, I think like kraken erotica should be a really big part of the setting.
Yeah, me as well. It's like something about the tentacles that is like so attractive in many ways, and I think like a lot of people would appeal to that.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we're live. Hi everyone.
Oops, press the button.
Good old Sap and Stars asked, "What is my favorite law about Ceandra?" And honestly, it's the protection of the musicians. Music is seen almost as like a sacred thing in the nation. So a lot of people are encouraged to play a musical instrument, to learn how to play and learn how to express themselves musically. And if someone is on like a street and street musician and they play their song, it's actually legal to interrupt them. And of course, if they do cause some trouble, you are free to approach the city guard and they'll deal with it. But yeah, it's a very big deal in Ceandra. The musical aspect is probably like the biggest of the arts.
Okay, and where does that like come from in their culture? Like, what's the driving force behind that being so important?
A lot of it came before, like that was like the main way of like storytelling, like from the ancient people that came before the nation of Ceandra.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to tell a story about someone that did something amazing, then you wrote a song about it.
Yeah.
And you would play it at every tavern, at every crossroad, everywhere you could, and that song would spread. So by like interrupting a musician when they play the song, call it like many ways you interrupt them bringing on the spirit of either themselves or someone that came before them, because a lot of songwriting is very personal.
Yeah.
And some would say that you put a soul into a song, and if you fuck that up, then you interrupt that soul flying into the wind. Hope that was a good enough answer.
That's a perfect answer. Soul into a song, and if you stop it.
What if a musician is eating a sacred apple while they play? The guards have to wait until they're done to arrest them.
So...
Okay, I don't know.
That was like
play...
that was like a beautiful, soulful story about like the prominence of storytelling within this culture and their belief of how it links into the soul, and it ended with like a beautiful little like one-line piece. It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. And then like that happened.
Yeah.
Thap. So you stop us all from flying into the wind.
Yeah. Would Ceandra be meaningful different if it was hidden below that?
Accretion disk of Sagittarius A.
I don't even know what that means, so I'm not gonna go into that.
Sagittarius A is the black hole at the center of the galaxy.
The more I know. I'm hugely into like sci-fi. I should know that.
So yeah. So we've got let's talk about Ceandra culture a bit. So we've got like a heavy focus on storytelling, presumably like a strong sort of like affinity to the sea.
Yeah, because like it is bound on like sea shanties, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're at sea, then you sing songs, and so that's also probably why that musical aspect has become so strong in the culture.
Yep. That makes sense. Accretion discs are hot. Yes, they are sap. I know. Sap is so much fun. One of my favorite
Yeah.
humans.
Now and then, like the donation page probably pops up on like the chat.
Yeah.
I feel like you owe me something for the therapy I'm gonna need after dealing with you for like an hour.
Emotional damage, cash up. Pony up. Pony up to Alex.
Pretty much.
So they've got a strong affinity to the sea, tradition of sea shanties, did you say?
Yeah.
Like, how much does the sea figure into their mythology and their myths? Like, got any good mythological stories about the sea?
I think at the end of the day, like the mist would be a bigger part of their mythology
Okay.
than the sea ever would be, because I think they would see the sea as um, a means to an end, to put it like very broadly. That it's their main source of income. It's how they thrive as a society.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of people, it would be like worshipping. It would be like if we were to worship like the god of wheat, and they do have the god of storms, of course, but
Yeah.
they're so vague and so out there that Arena, being like the founder, is so much closer to them.
So what's their
And
sort of explanation for the mist then? What kind of role does the mist play in their cultural conception of their land and themselves?
I think like in many views, and I think like this comes out like more like folklore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just gonna answer Saprika. What would happen if Irina ate a sacred apple? Nothing, because the sacred apples did not exist before after Irina. But back to the mist. I think for a lot of people, they see it as like a protective aura almost. Like it protects them from like the ghosts that haunt in the night. Their death philosophy, or like death philosophy,
Yeah.
death god, one would say, is a person called the Man with the Lantern.
Hold on, 1 second. Okay, Man with the Lantern, go.
Yeah, because once it's time for you to die, you would see like the light of a lantern through the mist.
Yeah.
And it will guide you to. It will just walk towards you. It will walk to wherever you are, and it will stand in your doorway until you're ready to come with them. Once you do, he will guide you to the place that you're the happiest, and that's where you will pass. Of course, it's usually it's not you physically leaving the room, but a lot of people that have been in like coma-esque situations.
Yeah.
They describe that the Man with the Lantern came and they guided them to like their favorite tree or something, but just before they were ready to sit down, a voice in their head said that, hey, I should turn around and walk back. And
Okay.
when they did that, they woke up.
I adore that. So that's like a very kindly face of death
Yeah.
kind of thing. Which is actually my favorite form of death gods. I don't like death gods to be particularly evil, or like there's scope for it sometimes, but like the idea that death is such a terrifying and frightening figure is like such a specifically Western point of view,
Yeah.
and like obviously that then gets baked into the stories that then got written into D&D and written into other games. But I much prefer the idea of like death being kind, and
Yeah, it's my grandfather died like 2 years ago,
mhm,
and I guess like the only one that did his eulogy, his
mhm,
funeral, and I quoted like the British turned Buddhist philosopher Alan Watts
yeah,
in my eulogy that every river eventually has to run into the sea. And I do like that aspect of death. That you can try to resist it, you can try to swim past the stream, but eventually
mhm,
you will have to give in, and you will be taken out to the vast sea. And I think like after that, that's a lot of how I
yeah,
interpret death. Because during Corona, I lost a lot of close family members. My grandfather died in 2019. My grandmother died in 2020, and my
mhm,
mom died in 2021. So I did a lot of eulogies in that period of time,
yeah,
and I had to learn a lot how to deal with death. Because I remember, especially after my mom died, my dad and my brother were completely broken, and I was the one that had to like keep the household in shape. And I think a lot of that was because of my that I've adopted a lot of like Alan Watts' philosophy
yeah,
that death is not something to fear; it's something that happens to all of us.
yeah,
And I think that that's also a lot of the inspiration behind Man of Little Lantern.
yeah. I genuinely love that. I think it's really good inspiration and a great way of taking death. Um,
Exactly. I appreciate it, by the way. What?
oh, right, okay. Um, so death is kind and sweet. Sea reapers as loving beings who do the necessary but sad job. Yes, absolutely. And like one of my favorite poems is Ulysses by Joyce, and there's this section in it. He's actually talking about old age, but I just like the way he talks about death in it. He goes, it's death closes all, but something ere the end. Some work of noble note may yet be done, not unbecoming men who strove with gods. Because the idea behind that passage is that Ulysses or Odysseus is going on one last journey. He's old now. He's gathered all his former companions together, and he's taking one last journey into the unknown. And just that sort of like death closes all, but that doesn't mean we should stop living life, no matter how old we get or how close to it we get. Just keep on trucking, keep on exploring, keep on being brilliantly and beautifully human, and I love that.
Yeah, yeah, that's gorgeous. Also, thanks, Wart Lily. Really appreciate it.
Mm,
And yeah, I totally agree. And like, it's I I I think I'll remain productive in one way or another until the day I die. Like,
mm,
I like even now, just like sitting in the stream and like chilling. This would be work for some, but I'm really enjoying it, and I can't really see myself stopping doing like stuff like this, even when I'm 80.
yeah,
I'm glad to do it.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, this stream got very serious very fucking fast. Like,
Yeah, that happens.
Jesus. Yeah.
Um, so Ceandra have the concept of a soul.
Yeah.
So they believe that people have souls. Do they have any specific beliefs about this?
They believe mainly that how do I describe it? Uh, I haven't been the sexiest 8-year-old.
Oh yeah, you
Uh,
are going to be.
yeah, enjoying life is more important than productivity. And yeah, I totally agree. I'm just, I just enjoy life when I'm productive. I'm at my best when I'm creating. Like that's when I get the most joy. Like when I build this world. Like I said, my note sheet is like 4,700 words. It's you just had a small taste of it so far
Mhm.
tonight. but like writing all this down, like that's when I lost passage of time, and that's like when I was really in the zone, and that's what I never want to stop doing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, soul. If that means something important, what does that mean to people? I think that in their eyes, soul is their person, because like when you're born, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you see people have babies that are like 1 year old, and they still have like traits of personality with them.
Mm-hmm.
And what gives them those personality traits, even though they had like zero life experience, like they barely have the ability to interpret what happens around them. That's essentially what the soul is.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're naturally funny, that's because of your soul. If you're naturally smart, that's part of your soul. And it's essentially what makes you you. That's what they believe the soul is.
Natural traits and fundamental
I'm
personality.
not going to justify that with an answer, Zap. Sorry.
Cool. So we've got two gods. We've got the gods of storms, and is it god of storm or gods of storms? Like, do they believe that there's
Gods of Storm,
god
plural.
plural? And we've got the old man with the lantern.
Yeah.
How about any others? Like,
Not that comes to mind, really.
none that come from it.
It's
Cool.
it's at the end of the day, the man with the lantern is again more like a folklore thing.
Yeah.
It's they don't see them as a god. They just see them like guider. Is like how the Greeks saw Charion, I guess, in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
That it was not a god to be worshipped, but someone that would take them to the right place.
Okay. And we talked about folklore. So are there any like specific like folklore beliefs, like spirits or fairies or fair folk or whatever that they sort of riff on in folklore?
Well, it's the main one that they do tell their kids are the story of the drowned ones,
Mm-hmm.
because like the kraken hunting is a very dangerous business, and of course people die.
Yeah.
So they believe that the spirit of the one that died hunt the krakens. They prey the seashore, and
Uh,
they drag the kids that go running along there into the ocean and drowns them essentially.
and drag. Okay, cool. Um,
Irina
and
is not a god, Sap. Jesus.
Irina's not a god. She's like she's George Washington. Um,
Yes.
so yeah. So we've got the drowned ones. And marriage. How did they do marriage? We think about
There,
marriage a lot. We ended up having a very long conversation about marriage in the
yeah.
server for this.
And yeah, to be honest, I did black out through most of it. But I did steal a lot of the aspect that most marriages are in the winter.
Yep.
Because they believe that you should take the first step in a troubled time, or like some kind of like hardness.
Yeah.
To get that out of the way early and enjoy that they do call like the honeymoon period the spring period because of this, that they
Yep.
believe that everything is nice after marriage, but yeah.
Period, the spring period. Okay, I like that.
Mm.
And in terms of like marriage, does it need to be like officiated by a priest, or is it something you can
Yes.
just declare? Okay.
100%. It needs to be officiated. Usually, it's like a quite big deal,
Yeah.
and like a lot of feudal societies, noble marriages are usually about getting some kind of allegiance or like some kind of like pact up and running.
Yep.
That your kid is married to mine. Like we now have to be friends, basically.
Yeah.
But amongst the peasants, it's yeah.
Yeah.
Can
Marriages are often
citizens of Ceandra legally get married to the ocean? First of all, I wanna give you credit for spelling Ceandra correctly.
Uh-huh.
Secondly, no, they cannot be married to inanimate objects.
even though the ocean is so big and round and like has waves and ebbs and flows and comes in and goes out, like they can't actually marry it. It's just like a side piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can keep the ocean as a side home, but they have to have like a real wife at home.
Okay. If an officiant asks the
Or
two people marrying whether or not they consent to marriage, what happens if one person doesn't say anything?
that counts as no.
That counts
They
as a
ha-
no?
yeah, they have to say, hey, yes. How long do they to stand inside? You'll know. Like you'll know.
If it's not
Like
pretty fast, ask someone who has been married. Like,
yeah,
if there's a
exactly.
delay, like,
Yeah, if you've ever been to a wedding and
mhm,
there is an awkward silence, you'll know. Like it's I just been to like a couple weddings in my life,
mhm.
and all of them is like been yes instantly, but like one it was like a 4 second delay, and you did notice that.
4
Um,
seconds. 4 seconds. There's your time. Well, okay, 4 seconds to be a noticeable delay. I think anything over 12, and we're talking this isn't happening.
yeah. Uh, if I've actually in all of the weddings I've been to, I've been the toastmaster, and all of the weddings it's been very awkward because eventually I drink enough that I start flirting with everyone, and people start noticing. And I think the worst one was when the family of the bride decided to leave because they claimed I was too drunk.
I
But
gave, sorry,
everyone else loved it, so yeah,
I gave one best man speech in my life, and I've still been hearing about it for the last 10 years. So,
it was memorable.
it was very memorable. There was someone who promised to flip a table if, like, things got too weird, and they didn't. And that is, that is not cool. They owe me a table flip. Like,
I'll give it a name and I'll hold them down.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Uh,
They're 6'6" and built like a brick shit house. Um,
if, if if we reconnect with someone years later and they say yes, are legally married? No. What about the legal limit? There is no legal limit. You'll just know. It's like played by ear thing.
yeah,
Like it's like my degree is in music, and if the drummer stops playing for 12 seconds, we'll know that something is up.
yeah.
And I imagine like it's the same thing here.
Plus, like it's in front of an officiant, so you have to declare that you're getting married in front of a witness, effectively, a legal official witness. So even
Yeah.
if you reconnect years later and go yes, then that does, you have to go through the whole rigmarole of invitations and fucking table planning and whatever else all over again.
Can I ask you to do a role playing story to fuck up my guests at my wedding talk?
Yes, absolutely 100%. I will do that for you, hands down. Don't need to pay me. I will be very, very, very happy to come to your wedding and make everyone incredibly sad.
Worst case scenario, you can hire me to come to your wedding and make everyone very uncomfortable.
Yeah, between the two of us, we are the perfect perfect wedding crime. No, I could actually do a roleplay plot to fuck up your wedding. Like that would be fun. Not your wedding specifically, but like if like I could do one that like is a story that is incredibly sad about a married couple, but like leaves with like a shred of hope, which is what I aim for. So
Oh, that's fun.
yeah, I'm down for it. 100% down. Um, so we've got marriages, are kind of very European in style.
Yeah.
Recognizably so. Traits, not trits. Um, what else haven't we covered? So, do they have like anything specific around childhood? Like any specific beliefs about like children in childhood?
Civic chill beliefs. What you mean, man?
Like lots of cultures had like specific stuff around children, so like specific ways of like dressing them or specific ways of talking about them or calling them, or so what's their sort of like general views on childhood?
I think that they don't have like any particular ones. I think like a
Yeah.
lot of people see children as like small people you can't really drink with,
Yeah.
and
children are small people you can't drink with. That's clip worthy.
That's a third clip.
Yeah. And what is the stuff around there? Maybe everyone's legally married to the Salt Mountain until they're old enough to marry another adult. That's kind of funny, but probably not.
It is, but yeah, probably not.
What about where was I going? What's coming of age like? Like, how do they define an adult?
Around like age 13, 14, that's when you're literally an adult. You still have to like participate in the day of salt, but that's when you start like hanging out with your parents a lot more at work and like starting to learn the trade. And yeah, and of course if you do turn 16 and you can afford it, then you will be sent to the university, and then you'll study there. And if you come from a very high up noble family, then you'll probably be sent to be a ward of some person when you're done that.
And what is there like a ceremony or any kind of like thing about coming of age? Like it's like most cultures develop traditions and ceremonies and that kind of thing around big life events. So marriage is one, coming of age is another. Sort of hitting middle age can be something that people do something around in some, and then when you get to old age and just like big changes in your life.
And did you have the ceremony of in the dark?
Yeah.
Like it's essentially one day that happens on their 16th birthday.
Yeah.
Which is essentially when they are ready to be on their own. Yeah. And they're for that day, their parents essentially pretend that they don't exist. So like whatever they do on that day, that's fully on them.
Okay.
And if they do come home pissed drunk at 4 a.m., well, we're not gonna pretend it happened.
Yeah, you've got to sort it out yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see there is a lot of appeal in just having a day where you just don't have to pay attention to your 16-year-old. Like,
yeah.
I can see the appeal of that one. Cool. So, Ceremony of the Dark. I like it. On the day of the Ceremony of the Dark, do they get to inherit their parents' possessions? Only if they murdered them.
Unfortunately, no. But it's very common that the parents leave like a stack of money on like like by the door that they can pick up and go do whatever with. But again, they do not want to know what they do with that money.
Yeah. Do whatever with. Cool. Honestly, my 16-year-old self, if I'd had a day when like my parents would just not pay any attention to me, I probably would have just spent it reading and not doing any chores. I was a very boring 16-year-old.
Yeah, it sounds like that.
Yeah. Is it a popular day for shotgun weddings?
Probably. It's yeah.
Yeah. Well, if marriages are political, then yeah, they're probably like parents are probably very heavily involved. As for if
that only goes for nobles though, like if you're a peasant, then it's
well, I think generally like peasants do or sort of have historically like married for the same reasons that the nobles do. It's just at a much lesser scale. So like the idea that like nobles have to marry for politics but peasants only marry for love, I think is generally sort of kind of ahistorical, and you got a lot of commoners that would have to marry who their parents picked out for them, not necessarily because they're cementing alliance between two noble houses, but because, you know, that guy's got a bigger farm and your kids will inherit both these farms. And
so that does make sense. It's just like something I never really thought about.
Yeah, it's just the way I've always taken it, because like what generally like whatever is the dominant strain of a culture amongst the nobles, like as you go down the sort of like class banding, it gets replicated just on a smaller scale with lower stakes. but they're still the stakes of the people involved. So they're very high stakes for, the farmer who's trying to set up his daughter with a slightly more well-to-do farmer 2 valleys over. It's very important stakes for them, but like the entire country doesn't turn on that marriage kind of thing. So
That's quite interesting. Like again, it makes totally sense when I like
mm,
stop and think about it. I just like never thought about it.
yeah, interesting world-building factoid.
Uh,
Um,
for Victor VIII, Sermon of the Dark, does he get to be king for a day? Victor VIII does not exist at the moment, so
yeah,
probably
we're only
not.
up to 7th.
Yeah, what would happen the day after the Sermon of the Dark if Victor VIII, while king, married the commoner? Hypothetically, if Victor VIII were to exist, then the marriage would be valid.
Mm-hmm.
That would probably be an entire political mess.
That's entire political mess. That's shenanigans territory, that is. That's something for players to be involved with and probably cause.
Victor VII, who is the current king, he's already 17, so he has had his day of Sermon of the Dark.
Mm-hmm.
So he did not do it, but stop with the fucking marry the ocean thing. Like, I'm not gonna entertain your ocean fetishes.
That's what it's beginning to feel like at this point. It's that, like, do you want to marry the ocean?
Yeah, that's the fourth clip, by the way. I don't want to entertain your ocean fetishes.
Yeah. No kink shaming. I'm just kink asking why. Um, okay, cool. So, here's an interesting question. How do they believe the world got created?
That's actually a very good question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think the world was created? I think that it's said
Mm-hmm.
in the stories of old that the king of the gods of storms, whatever his name is, was very fond of another one of the storm people, like a lower one, and he really wanted to impress her. Like he wanted to show off, like, "Hey, I'm a big shot."
Yeah.
But she refused to give him any attention. So he decided to create. Like first of all, he made like a gigantic sword. Like it was amazing. It was like all full gold with like sapphires and rubies along the blade. But
Mm-hmm.
she was like, whatever. And then secondly, he created a beautiful cloak to her, like of the finest silks. But she was like, whatever. And then thirdly, then he created the world, and he was quite in doubt of this entire creation. Here is a people that's flawed. They have their mistakes. They're not perfect, but they make me think of you. Like he did some romantic gesture that the ocean is as blue as your eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and everything about this creation is only halfway or like halfway as beautiful as you, but it's the best I can do.
Yeah.
But that's what convinced her. Like, yeah, I do like this,
Okay.
and I will look over it if you will be more by my side and sharing the duty. That's how they think the world was created.
So essentially, the world was a courting gift.
Yeah.
Which is really cool because then we can like link that back to the marriages, and like during the marriage ceremony, you could have like a ritual presentation of like a sword and then a cloak, and then like something representing like the world or the ocean, so like either earth or sea water or something like that.
Oh yeah, I do like that.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Let me just add that into marriage.
That should be divorced, and then you own half the sea world in the world.
Ritual presentation of sword slash knife, cloak, and seawater slash.
Ocean could destroy my enemies. What kind of enemies do you have, Water Lily? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, many. Both the people married have to take a sip from a chalice full of seawater. Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, yeah, I do like that idea. It sounds horrible, but I do like it.
Yeah. have to sip from chalice. Sea water. Cool. So I absolutely love that as a cosmology, and like that whole like I'm giving you this beautiful thing. It's only half as beautiful as you, but it's still imperfect. Is like I really like that. It's got very like my mistress's eyes on like the sun vibes, and I'm a big fan. Yeah, there's this one of my favorite Shakespeare sonnets is let me not to the marriage of true minds omit impediments. Love is not love which alters when alteration finds, nor bends with the remover to remove. And basically, it's beautiful because it's like a lot of the poetry. Shakespeare was punk as fuck, right? And a lot of the poetry at the time was like Elizabethan courtly poetry, which was like, oh, my beloved is the most perfect thing in existence. All of creation pales in front of her. I cannot even describe like how perfect she is, how amazing she is. I love her so much. Blah 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 blah. And Shakespeare was just like, no, yo, like you're not great, but you'll do, kind of thing. Like you're not perfect, but I love you anyway, and that's what matters. And nobody else was saying that at the time. So big Shakespeare fan. Many enemies, from fascist to toughs to Jerry. Goddamn Jerry. Yeah, fuck Jerry. Fuck that guy.
Fuck Jerry.
Death to Jerry.
Yeah.
How about tenets of the church, like tenets of the faith? Are there any particular like basic rules or commandments that people in the Church of Storms have to follow?
Like the common ones, like don't steal, don't kill,
Yeah,
don't lie, and I think like it's very vanilla on that area.
yeah.
That they do not have like any weird ones. They do not have like you shall not marry a goat or something like that.
Well,
It's
can we give them like at least one weird one? I'd like something that like if someone who was like not from Ceandra came into the land and was like interacting with faithful people, like can we give them like one sort of like culture shock one that's like just a what are these people about? Like
sure, if you have any great ideas, then I'm all for it.
okay.
Don't take water into the salt mountain because it will melt. Again, the salt mountain is not made out of fucking salt, but sure.
Yeah. Priest of Storms. So we've got a cult based around the gods of storms. The gods of storms are sort of nebulous and unformed. Okay, so whenever there's a storm going on, all members of the faith have to stand outside in it briefly and drink some rainwater.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, if it's possible. So like you're in a bar in Ceandra and you're this foreigner who's come in and you're sitting in a bar in Ceandra and you're having beer and chatting to people and then a storm kicks off outside and like everyone just like puts down their drinks and runs outside and like, up at the sky. Yeah, I like it. Priesthood.
Lean across the bar and just like fill up their beer and
Yeah. Granted divine powers, we don't have to care about that. Political intrigue and influence. So the Church of Storms is obviously like a political power player in the region. What's their main sort of agenda at the moment? Like, what are they aiming to get?
that's a difficult question. It's
Okay. The music keeps pausing. Carry
what did happen with the royal timeline we did, by the way?
on. We got partway through. We can go back to it if you want.
Cool. It's just I think like this would be associated a lot with like Morgan the First of Blessed. He was like a lot of, and especially like also Carmen. That would be very. They would be very pro Church of Storms, and I think at the end of the day, they want as much power as they can.
Mm-hmm.
and their purpose of that is that they hold like Arena to this like inhuman standard, and they want to like go back to when she was in charge. And whatever she has written down as her like tenets or laws,
Mm-hmm.
they want that to be as enforced as possible. But
Okay.
what?
So, night night, Shara. Love you. Have a great
Good
night.
night. Good night.
So the church is sort of pushing for adherence to the founding principles of the nation of Arena. So they have like quite a strong conservative streak, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they probably do.
In terms of like wanting things to be back to what they imagine as like a better age and a better morality.
Yeah.
So looking back to a golden time. So they are naturally going to be sort of against societal change / progress. They're going to want they support monarchs that offer to return things to the way they should be.
Yeah.
Things to the way they believe they should be. And yeah, so and they'll be against kings that don't. So reformers are not going to have a good time.
Yeah, and what exactly like the social change that they're against is what that specific is. That's completely up to the GMs.
Yeah,
Like I'm not going to elaborate on that.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what are their sort of like everyday or regular practices? How does one worship the gods of storms?
Again, good questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was mentioned earlier in the chat that World Apple is really good at like giving like some all topic of conversation that forces you to like think of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's during a massive storm will probably be like their most sacred day. That will
Okay.
probably be like their main day of prayer.
Yeah.
And
Most sacred times are during massive storms.
yeah, and outside of that, they're probably very into making sure that people are. If someone dies to a storm, do you think that disease was a sinner? Actually, yes, that's actually spot on.
That's cool.
And yeah, and outside of outside of that, they're very happen to be like the main morality leader in their community. They want to teach children how to read, like we talked about earlier, and they want to be as positive of an influence as they can.
Yeah. Okay. Just an aside on the dies due to a storm. Interestingly, in ancient Greece, if you got struck by lightning and survived, people that die to storms, arsonists. If you got struck by lightning and survived, it was a sign that you were rejected by the gods, and you got shunned because they believed that like Zeus tried to kill you, and you didn't die like he wanted, so they got pretty iffy about it.
You would think that grants them like some kind of like power though. Like yeah, Zeus tried to kill me, but I said fuck off. I'm stronger than that.
I'm too strong to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently not. So someone struck you with lightning outside a bar in West Seattle. That makes sense. Yeah.
Oh fucking god.
So
Fucking bar in Seattle.
yeah, it's canon there.
Yeah.
So What about like lay people, like people that aren't necessarily the clergy? Like, how often do they participate in religious practices, or do they have like shrines in their home, or do they have a building that they go to, or a place they go to do this?
Well, of course, the churches are the communal gathering place, and that's where they
Yeah.
hang out if they need some kind of guidance.
Yeah.
But usually the church is quite chill. As if there is a storm going, that means that hey, get out and fucking pray like hell. But
Yeah.
outside of that, there
Okay, so
whenever you need.
there's no sort of like daily or weekly
Yeah,
observances.
nah, it's whenever in their eyes is whenever the gods feels appropriate.
Yeah.
That's whenever a storm happens.
Yeah, that's actually quite the interesting take on religion, because like there's definitely scope there to conceptualize it as like, well, we don't actually have to do anything until these fickle ass gods that create these storms that rack our land turn up and demand we pay attention to them, which they do every so often, like a toddler wandering into the living room showing you proudly the frog they found. And just like, that's actually quite an interesting take. I like that.
Yeah.
How about sects? Is there like sectarianism within the church? Are they divided? Have we got like differences of interpretation?
It's it's probably like one of the sects that's kind of claim that since the God of Storms were there first, and they were like the ones that built the entire world, then they are the ones that should be worshipped, not Arena. But that's like
Okay,
the
so
main one.
there's like a Puritan sect
Yeah,
that refuses to acknowledge Arena.
yeah, they're like the shamanistic state in many ways, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Is it considered auspicious if you were born 9 months after a storm?
It's track though, because I think like people would not think about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, the child is born, and like, I think very few people keep track of whenever a storm is, but the church might. You
What
don't think about it.
What about if you're born during a storm?
That would probably be more interesting. That's when you get the last name, the Stormborns, which is well almost a complete ripoff of Game of Thrones, but it also means that you're touched by the gods of some kind.
Okay.
What's up with your obsession with the sacred apples?
Sap just likes linking things together in ways that annoy people. Um,
I notice.
okay. Let me just create an article for the Gods of the Storm as a deity, and we can create an article for Irina as a saintly figure. So do people like pray to Irina for intercession or like protection from the gods of the storm?
Not really. The Ghosts of Storm are like I said earlier, they in most people that follow the Church of Storm's
Mm-hmm.
eyes, the Ghosts of Storm are like so far above us that they don't really care about whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
Like it's Arena is more like hey, if you can like give us slight push in this direction or other, then we really appreciate it.
Okay.
But
So Arena is more like the figure you pray to for intercession in your day-to-day life.
yeah.
Like please don't let this milk go bad. Please, can I marry the man I want to? Please, can you?
Yeah, exactly. Because like
Yeah.
like what I explained earlier in like the creation thing, like
Yeah.
for the gods of the storm, the world is probably no more worth than a fucking wedding ring.
Yeah.
It's an item that you pass along, and like most people, if your wedding ring started to pray to you, you would probably not care, right?
Yeah. Above such thing. So like so you've got this situation where you've got like the laity in their sort of like everyday religious observances. pray to Arena for like intercession in their day-to-day life, and then whenever there's a storm, everyone dashes to the nearest temple and starts praying in earnest as the whole community together, basically going, yes, we see you, we acknowledge your power and awesomeness, please don't smite us. And
Yeah.
so it becomes this like you've got this because there's this quote by an anthropologist, his name's Clifford Geertz, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I can't remember the entire thing entirely, but it's chaos, that which not only defies interpretation but fundamentally lacks interpretability, threatens to break in upon man at 3 points in his life: at the limits of his moral philosophy, at the limits of his understanding of the world around him, and at the limits of his physical endurance. And into that breach, man created gods in order to make the impossible to explain explicable. So
that's very spot on.
yeah, so like most religions should have at least some kind of figure in them that isn't necessarily the god themselves, but someone you can pray to sort out the things that you have no control over. So yeah, and Arena fills that role for this religion.
I talked to a friend of mine who is he's a priest,
Mm-hmm.
and for anyone that knows me knows that I'm like a fierce. I wouldn't even describe myself as an atheist. I'm more like an anti-theist. Like, I'm glad that there is no God.
Mm-hmm.
So I did end up talking to him a lot, and then of course the problem of evil came up.
Yep.
And essentially, the problem with evil is that if God knows that evil exists and he doesn't do anything about it, then he's either evil or he's not almighty.
Yep.
And he brought up that what if when God created the world, he had evil at first, but what he saw as evil was so far off, like so unimaginable to us, that he's already gotten rid of it.
Yeah.
Like what he's considered evil does no longer exist, and it's left with what we see as evil. And that became like a bit of the inspiration behind the gods of storm, that they're like so far above us that whatever is on their mind is beyond our comprehension, really.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Makes good sense.
Just gonna read through Sap's annoying Apple questions. I love you, Sap, but you do have a lot of Apple questions. What if you're born while your mother is eating a sacred apple? Again, your mom wouldn't do that, and if you did, again, she would be punished, not you. I can't stop thinking about the sacred apple cider. Sure. The animals that eat the apple, are they considered sacred? Probably. Do they try? Do people give birth, take ships out to sea, so they show us born on the storm? That's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I like that. That's cool.
As an anti-theist, what would you consider to be the philosophical doctrine closer to your belief? Be a good person, essentially. I am a fierce believer that, considering that this is the only life that you do get, I think that you should try to leave the world better off than what you found it. Because I actually talked about this before. As a kid, now I'm going into like a rambling segment. As a kid, you know how all kids want to be like doctors or lawyers or police officers. Whenever my teacher asked me that when I was like 8, 9, I said I wanted to be a superhero. Like, I wanted to stop like the evils of the world. And of course, as I grew older, I realized that that's not possible. Like, I'm never gonna build like an Iron Man suit or have super strength or super speed or whatever. But as I grew older, I realized like my definition of world was probably wrong, because I'm probably never gonna change the whole world, but I can change the world of those close to me. I can make sure that my family has the best life possible. I can make sure that if I'm out on the town and see someone pass out in the street, that I help them home, and I can make those little things. I can make little good deeds. By doing that, I'll change the world of that one person I do help. Then I become some kind of superhero in that regard. that's essentially my entire life philosophy. That you do help the ones that you can, and you do make sure that you leave the world better than you found it. There's one homeless man that lives close to where I live. He has cerebral palsy, CP, whatever Walt Jr. has in Breaking Bad. I can't remember the actual name.
Mhm.
And like when I do bump into him, I try to have a conversation with him. I try to take him to like a coffee shop and like have a chat. And yeah, that's essentially my belief, or like my, I don't know if there's a religion that fits to that, but that's the best way I can answer that question. I'm sorry that if it become quite rambly, but yeah.
Paying it forward, I think, is the concept.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
right. So I think we've got enough to go on here, and we can flesh this out more off stream. And like, there's people here I want to put little bits and pieces about, so I'm going to be bugging you in Discord, and then once it's ready, I will sort of make it public so other people can see. But yeah, is there anything else you wanted to throw in, or are you happy to call it there? Because I'm conscious it's been like nearly three and a
Yeah,
half hours.
it's so much more I could talk about,
Mm-hmm.
and especially like the royal line. It's obviously Game of Thrones is a massive inspiration for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I have like a small segment of like every ruler that came from uh, Victor the Sixth until Victor the Seventh,
Mm-hmm.
but that's always something that we can touch on later on. And yeah, again, no worries for derailing Sap. I think it
Yeah,
was like
no, it's cool.
it was like a good line to end everything on. And
Mm-hmm.
I do know that we've been a bit back and forth the entire stream, but seriously, it's been fun, and I'm glad that you've been so engaging and asking questions. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And
I think that's my final thoughts.
cool. Let me just double check who's up next, because we're back in 2 weeks' time with a different guest. So let me just double check on my phone, because if I try to click on it on my computer, it'll all go weird. Discord will go strange and the cameras will screw up. So we are up next. We have
As far as was Arena swallowed by Sagittarius A, if you have to know, Arena died of natural causes at the age of 78. Some say that she did have some kind of cancer thing developing, but that's how she passed.
cool.
Not any swallowing things.
Yep. So next week we are back with Thistle Sifter in 2 weeks. So 2 Sundays from now, same time, same place. We're back with Thistle Sifter, and I'm not 100% sure what they've got for us. So that's gonna be interesting. But if you don't already follow Alex, go follow Alex on TikTok, and me and Thistle Sifter, because they're up next. And yeah, I have really enjoyed this. This has been a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to doing more. Thank you everyone for coming. And if you're watching this later on VOD on YouTube or on Twitch, thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it. And yeah, all my love to you. Goodbye forever, Sap. Farewell forever.
Yeah.
It's been real.
Goodbye forever. And yeah.
Yeah.
Come stalk me on TikTok, and I'll be sure to
Yeah.
be annoying there.
And if you've enjoyed this and you want to throw my amazing guest some tips, then the link's been appearing, but it's paypal.me/the Alex Dante. And catch you all soon.